Audio stream of tonight's Sounders FC match versus Houston Dynamo FC from PNC Stadium in Houston, Texas. I'm your studio host, Andrew Harvey, standing in for Jackson Feltz tonight, and I'm joined alongside Diego Arioja from Univision Seattle and our Spanish-language Sounders broadcast team. Tonight's audio stream is presented by Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone. Diego, good evening and welcome. Great to have you with us.
Good evening, Andrew. A pleasure to be with you, and what a match we have today. Is going to be an exciting game, and hopefully the Sounders can get 3 points that are going to be really valuable towards the rest of the season.
It's the Sounders FC pre-match show. The Emerald Queen Casino countdown to kickoff starts now. Well, folks, the international break is over, and your Seattle Sounders FC are back in action on the road tonight against Houston Dynamo FC. The Sounders have been in fine form of late. They've won 8 of their last 10 matches. Yes, they dropped the other 2, but they are clearly the team to beat in the Western Conference right now, Diego. And with a win tonight, they guarantee a top 4 finish in the Western Conference and would claim a club record for road wins in a season with 10.
Yeah, no, it's an impressive run for the Sounders, and actually they want to finish on top of the Western Conference, right? And I think tonight is a great opportunity, especially against a team that hasn't really, only 5 wins overall in the season. So it's going to be crucial for the Sounders, especially coming back from the international break, that they can get those 3 points.
Diego, that is really my first question for you tonight. Is the Sounders were just tearing through everybody they were playing. I mean, scoring 3 goals, 4 goals in a given game. And then you take 14 days off. Some guys go away on international duty and the rest stay here and train. What goes into trying to maintain that form or recapture that form when you come back together after so long away from one another?
That's a great question, Andrew. And usually teams do suffer, right, when they have a long international break, and especially their main players are out. But I think the Sounders, they found the formula. I think Brian Schmetzer is always really good at bringing the young players and step up when they need to. And for example, today's match, there's only one change in the lineup that we'll talk about it later. But the Sounders, they've been consistent across the board. And I think from the players that we're going to talk about in a little bit, there's obviously key players, but I would say Christian Roldan, who's been captain for most of the season, he didn't really play in the international break, so he's going to be full of form and ready to go.
Speaking of that international break, there are 5 players who were away on international duty. And Diego, obviously, you mentioned the breakdown there. Christian Roldan did play against Panama, did not play against Costa Rica. He's back. He's in the starting 11 tonight, which we'll get to more in a moment. Javier Arriaga, limited minutes for him for Ecuador. Played 12, I believe, against Colombia there in CONMEBOL qualifying. Nuhu went 180 minutes for Cameroon versus Mozambique on 2 legs there in African World Cup qualifying. And he's on the bench tonight. And then you've got Alex Roldan, who, boy, what a burst onto the international scene for Alex Roldan, already wearing the captain's armband for El Salvador.
It's an amazing story for Alex, and he's been playing really good, not only for the Sounders, but also being the captain representing El Salvador. Unfortunately, they lost against Mexico, but he's like, in form. I think he's also today in the bench. He probably, if I was Brian Schmetzer, will give him a break, but depends on the result. But I think across the board, the players are in good form. It's gonna be, obviously, we'll talk Raul Ruidiaz. That's a question when he's gonna come back, because we know he's injured, but also if he comes back at the crucial moment for the playoffs, right, for the MLS Cup run, and hopefully Raul Ruidiaz is in that excellent form.
Yeah, an excellent form is the only way you can say it. 16 goals on the year for him. Unavailable tonight. He re-aggravated the hamstring injury, but we've been told that it is just a re-aggravation. Was rehabbing there with the Peruvian national team and has now returned to the United States to reintegrate. Well, let's take a look at the Delta starting 11 for your Seattle Sounders. Diego, can you give us Brian Schmetzer's starting 11?
Yes, of course. So we're going to have Stephen Fry in the goal, Sissoko, Javier Arriaga, and Shane O'Neill in the back. We'll have Jimmy Medranda, Josh Atencio, Joao Paulo, MVP, Kellen Rowe in the midfield, Freddie Montero, who's been pretty good this season, Christian Roldan, who is back from the international break, and then on top, the Bear will bring.
Like you mentioned, just the one change from the win over Vancouver, and that is due to Yeimar Gomez-Andrade, unavailable tonight, accumulated 5 yellow cards. Interesting enough, Christian Dejome was fined for simulation in the incident that got Yeimar booked, but the yellow card was not rescinded. We'll get into all that later on. Houston Dynamo will line up like this. In goal is Michael Nelson. Back three of Zarek Valentin, Teenage Hadebe, and Tim Parker. A midfield of Sam Junqua, Adalberto Carrasquilla, Matias Vera, and Griffin Dorsey. Darwin Quintero playing as the 10, as it were, and a top two of Fafa Picot and Maxi Arruti. So, again, a Houston Dynamo side, a Houston Dynamo FC side that has not had all the success that you would, I guess, expect, maybe not expect. We'll get into that later on, but still a tough test on the road for the Sounders here on the weekend.
Yeah. Even though the the results back up the Sounders, it's still gonna be a really interesting match, because I think it's gonna be coming back from that international break that we were just talking about. It's gonna be crucial for the Sounders to see how they compete against Houston. That they want to show up, and Tab Ramos really wants and needs this win to keep up, especially looking ahead for the next season.
Yeah, Dynamo head coach Tab Ramos in his second year at the helm of the Dynamo team, and it has not gone according to plan for him. Let's dive into tonight's team health report presented by Virginia Mason Franciscan Health. Well, the following players are all out, unavailable due to injury tonight. Jordi Delem still recovering from the ACL tear. Nicolas Lodero recuperating from knee surgery. Raul Rui Diaz, as we mentioned earlier, still recovering from that hamstring strain that was reissued. Brad Smith has a joint sprain. Yamar also unavailable due to yellow card accumulation, not due to injury. And of course, the big news, Jordan Morris, who did travel to Houston, linked up with the Sounders and trained with them, still going to be held out, as he's not quite fully yet back from that ACL tear. But I mean, the fact that we're even having a conversation about this in October, so soon after the injury occurred. I mean, I saw the footage of him training. He does not look very far away, Diego.
No, he's coming back, and it's just another amazing story. Jordan Morris, how he's coming back from injury, and I think being Brian Schmetzer, I would take care of him, and especially there's 5 games left after this one in the regular season. If he's coming back, he needs to come back for the playoffs, right? But it's good to see him traveling with the team and getting that confidence back, especially in training. And also, I seen that footage, and he's gonna get ready to get be fit and hopefully be that change up for on top. If Raul Diaz also, for some reason, doesn't recover a full percent, or you always have Jordan Morris as a backup, right? It can be that danger on top.
Yeah, and woe be to the other clubs in the league when Jordan Morris gets out there with a season's worth of pent-up goal scoring stored up in him. The Sounders FC Health Report is presented by Virginia Mason Franciscan Health, encouraging all fans to make a doctor's appointment for your annual wellness exam today. You are tuning in to the Emerald Queen Casino countdown to kickoff here on SoundersFC.com and to the Sounders FC app. I'm Andrew Harvey alongside Diego Arioja as we are getting set for kickoff between Seattle Sounders FC and Houston Dynamo FC on the road at PNC Stadium. And Diego, turning our attention to this Houston Dynamo side, it has been a season to forget, and I think most there in Houston will want to forget this season pretty quickly. 5 wins, 12 losses, 12 draws. They are in 12th place in the Western Conference. It's all 3 Texan clubs at the bottom of the West there. What is going on in the Lone Star State, Diego?
That's a really good question, Andrew. What's happening to the Texas teams? I don't know. It's with Houston Dynamo, and you mentioned in the lineup, the team is, player by player, it's a decent team, right? Unfortunately, they haven't, being able to get results. Only 5 wins, that says all. A lot of ties, but also I think for Houston in particular, it's been an adjustment. Well, Tab Ramos' second season in the team, but I think for the first time, Tab Ramos has been trying to bring more of those young players in the academy, but so far they haven't had the results. So it's going to be, I think, a season to forget. And right now, looking for next year, hopefully Tab Ramos stays as well. And then for the other teams, FC Dallas has been a disappointment. Usually FC Dallas, we see this Texan team always in the playoffs, right? At least for the last few years. And then we have the new team, Austin FC, who started with, good soccer, but unfortunately, the results really, down last in the table. So it's going to be, the last 3. Yeah. It's going to be really... really interesting. I think Austin FC has a lot to grow, a lot to learn from this season. But talking about Houston Dynamo, I think, again, today, it's a crucial game for them to win those 3 points.
Yeah, just to round out that point on FC Austin, the expansion team there, I think a lot of people, particularly up here in Seattle and probably in Atlanta too, have different expectations for what expansion sides should accomplish in their first year in Major League Soccer, because both those clubs, Seattle and Atlanta, came into the league and were quite excellent. LAFC being another recent example, although they've suffered a downturn. But if you think about some of the other teams that have come in over the last couple of years, FC Cincinnati struggling. Toronto FC struggled for many years before they started getting to the postseason. And I think it just kind of stands out in contrast with how special it is that the Sounders are now 13 years in a row. They've been in the league 13 years, and now they're in the postseason for a 13th time, and they can clinch a top 4 finish in the West with a win here tonight. But for Houston, the run of form has really been forgettable. They do have 5 points from their last 5 matches, but their last 2 wins were against FC Dallas and FC Austin. If you take those away, they're winless in their last 20 outings. So what do you tell your side as Tab Ramos, trying to get them psyched up to come in and play the best team in the Western Conference in Seattle?
Well, I think it's the biggest challenge that they have, right? Like, you're playing against the favorite team of the Western Conference, and you have to tell your players, okay, you need to step up. We know we haven't had a good season, but this is the time for you to shine. Especially, again, looking ahead for next year. If I was Tab Ramos, I would incentivize my players that today it's like a final for them, right? Even though you see, it doesn't count for the rest of the season, but playing against Sounders is a good opportunity, and especially at home with their crowd, it would be a really good result. Even if they have they managed to get a tie, it's a good result for Houston Dynamo.
Yeah, and the Dynamo have been better at home. They have 5 wins, 6 draws, just 3 losses down there at PNC Stadium. The Sounders, though, so excellent on the road. We mentioned earlier, going for a record number of road wins. 9 wins, 2 draws, just 2 losses. Brian Schmetzer apparently knows exactly what to say to his guys. Maybe they just really like singing Jingle Bells, their post-game tradition, when they take 3 points away from home. I don't know what it is, Diego, but something seems to be going right when they go on the road.
Yeah, no, it's been that season, and you were mentioning breaking that record from away wins. It's just been great to see, and I think especially this season without their captain, right, Nicolas Lodeiro, who missed basically the entire season, and seeing players like Joao Paulo stepping in to an MVP form almost, right? It's just being they're just doing things right, and everything is working. Sounders in the past, and we know in past seasons, usually on the road they haven't been that successful. Obviously at home they're always that solid team, but I think this season they've been able to prove that, and it's also the way of other players that were not in even the starting lineup that they come in and they show. And I think later we'll talk about those young players, especially this season, how they've been able to really step up in crucial moments, and that shows how they train, and also Brian Schmetzer's philosophy to get to trust young players and trust the process.
Looking at this Houston Dynamo starting 11, there are 2 names, obviously, that jump off the page for you, and they are the 2 names that are up top. It's Fafa Picault and Maxi Arruti. Arruti, a player we know really well from his time down in Portland. He is not afraid to get stuck in and has been known to be something of an agitator when he has been playing against the Sounders. Maybe not being involved in the rivalry takes some of the bite out of it. But these are 2 players who are dangerous, and the Sounders backline is going to have to work in coordination to kind of contain them tonight.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, Andrew. I think Maxi knows perfectly the Sounders. He knows how to instigate, the team if needed. And Maxi and Fafa both have basically played almost all the games during this regular season, and I think Fafa is that forward who has 11 goals and can really the Houston Dynamo players can really trust that he can at least make something out of nothing, right? So it'll be interesting. And with Maxi, we know that he has that experience, and he'll try to make trouble, especially in the middle, and he plays good soccer too. So.
Houston Dynamo also have 4 players returning from international duty. You've got Darwin Seren, Alex Roldan's teammate there at El Salvador. Boniek Garcia and Maynor Figueroa from Honduras are back in the fold, although they are not starting tonight. Teenage Debe, the Zimbabwean, is. And we talked earlier about, how do you get things to coalesce on a good run of form and then leave for an international break and come back. Internationally, coming back to a club that has been struggling. You're going home and you're going, oh boy, it's been a little while. How do you draw energy from international break, whether it went well or poorly, to reintegrate and try to turn around the end of the season?
That's a good question, Andrew. I think if you have bad results like Houston Dynamo, it's a fresh start, right? You can look at it that way, right? After that break, you have a few days off, you come back, and then you have that fresh start, fresh look after being with your national team. I think that could really help incentivize and bring good soccer, right, to that special team. For the Sounders, though, it's the opposite. They need to keep that form and keep the way they're playing, right, with the players that were not there. So I think for Houston, also a key player that we didn't mention, but it's gonna be good to see him, is Darwin Quintero, right? He's a solid player, has a lot of experience, and also could make some trouble, especially in the back for Javier Arreaga and Shane O'Neill. So we need to keep an eye on Darwin as well.
Well, Steve Zakuani on the Side by Side podcast earlier this week said that Quintero, for his money, was the best player he'd ever played against on the field in official competition since during friendlies. He was out there with Messi and the likes of them. Of course, that was, as he pointed out, back when Quintero was in his prime. Quintero getting on in years, but like you mentioned, still a very dangerous player that Seattle will have to keep its eye on, and a great facilitator. Now, the last meeting between these teams was back in July 7th. Sounders won 2-0. Kellen Rowe scored in the 62nd. Raul Ruiz-Diaz scored in the 4th minute of the second half stoppage time. Do you see this match playing out similarly, or do you think we're in for something completely different?
It's tough to say. I would say, if I want to be safe, yeah, Sounders are favorites, especially, the results that they have on away games this season shows that they can beat Houston, especially in the last matchups. Seattle has been able to get that win. But I think it's going to be interesting to see Houston after. To me, like, the international break is going to be what might change the balance in favor of Houston a little bit. But I would say Sounders without Ruiz-Diaz, obviously it's a big loss. But we have Will Bruin, and I know we'll talk about Will Bruin later, but he's been in top of his form. He's been great this season, and he's going to be really dangerous today. We know that a set piece or a ball into the box, Will Bruin is there, to put it in.
Let's talk about Tab Ramos, because he's a legendary figure in U.S. soccer. He comes into a Houston side that has really struggled these last few years. I mean, 2017, this is the side that Sounders beat to go to a second consecutive MLS Cup. They haven't been back to the playoffs since. Tab Ramos comes in, first season, 2020. I mean, every coach who's on the hot seat, I think you kind of have to give 2020 a wash. Such an insane situation. This year, though, a full season of regular play, and the results have not come along. Like you mentioned, there's been an emphasis on playing the youth, but how much leeway does he have, particularly in the spake of a new owner in Ted Siegel, who bought the club back in June? How much leeway does he have to try to turn things around for Houston before Ted Siegel starts wondering if there might be someone else for the job?
It's tough to say, but I would say for Tab Ramos, he just needs to get more results this season. That's why today's match is really important for him and for his future, right? To stay, if he wants to stay in the club. Tab Ramos, I think, 2020, as you say, it's a wash, and it's good. You need to give some time, especially for Tab Ramos, who's really good at working with youth, right? With young players. This year is the first time we've seen some changes, but I think obviously the results hasn't accompanied those decisions. But I think for Tab Ramos, this game and the 5 left have to be finals for him to really get those results and get that confidence, not only for the players but also for the new owner, right? The owner is gonna say, okay, let's say they get a few losses for the remainder of the season. He's gonna say, okay, I don't know if Tab Ramos is the right choice for next year.
My name is Andrew Harvey. I'm here with Diego Arioja, previewing tonight's Sounders FC match against Houston Dynamo FC from PNC Stadium in Houston, Texas. Sounders FC Soccer is brought to you by Michelob Ultra, 95 calories and 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Now let's dive back into the Emerald Queen Casino countdown to kick off on the pre-match show. Well, we talked multiple times already about the suspension for yellow card accumulation to Yeimar Gomez Andrade. Tonight, that back line, Shane O'Neill, Kellen Rowe, Arriaga, A.B. Sissoko, and Jimmy Madranda. How important is it tonight, and who's going to be kind of the commandant back there, apart from Stefan Fry, obviously, who will keep things as orderly, but who in the line has to help keep things orderly to combat the likes of Quintero, Urruti, and Fafa Picot.
Yeah, I would say Shane O'Neill, because he's been consistent this season, would be that guy. I would say Javier Arriaga also has he has experience. Like he's been playing quite a few games this season, but I would put my money on Shane O'Neill to really organize that back line, especially against the Quinteros, the Picots, and the Urrutis, right? They're gonna create some problems. We know they're not the fastest, right? So especially against Picot, they need to be really careful, and they need to get some space. So I think Shane O'Neill in that sense, we really need to talk to the guys to make sure that they're organized. But I think the Sounders, especially when they play away, they're pretty solid in the back. They know how to put the back line, and they wait for the other team to start the game, and then they can really they know how to close the game if needed as well, right? So there's gonna be a few spaces for the forwards in Houston Dynamo line. So
all right, I said we were going to talk about it later on. Yeimar gets suspended for a 5th yellow card. Dejome gets fined for simulation for the incident that got Yeimar carded and suspended. You can appeal red cards in Major League Soccer.
Yeah,
can't really with yellow cards. Diego, I mean, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but come on, MLS. Give us an outlet here. If it leads to a suspension, you got to at least be willing to take a look, especially if the guy gets fined for it.
Yeah, no, it's what can I say, Andrew? I think we all saw it, and it's just that yellow card. It takes a toll, well, but also for Yeimar, he's having a really good season too, right? And it's not only the fine, but also you need to make some changes, and especially at the end of the day, it could cost even some points if you put it that way. So I think that's something that the league should really take a look into, and especially now with all the changes in the last few years in world soccer, with the VAR coming in, this has to change. This cannot keep happening, because it's not fair for the player and for the team, and then especially if all the fans know what happened actually on the field, right?
Yeah, well, Brian Schmetzer never makes excuses, and he certainly wouldn't want us to, so we'll press on that front. But I guess the other side of the coin could be, now Yeimar, mandatory match of rest, last 5 matches of the season, maybe a chance for him to get his legs underneath him, couple extra days, especially ahead of a busy week with Colorado and Sporting Kansas City coming up. I don't want to call it a blessing in disguise, because we have no idea what the next 90 minutes have in store for us. But check back in with me in about 2 hours here, and we'll see where we stand. You talked about the importance of the back line. Joao Paulo is widely contested, at least by media outlets out here, is playing at an MVP level this season. What's on his shoulders tonight, especially working with Christian and Josh Atencio in midfield?
Joao Paulo, wow, Andrew, talking about good seasons, right? Joao Paulo definitely is playing at an MVP level, especially all the responsibility, right? Coming in for, stepping in also in Nicola Deiro's shoes in a lot of ways, because we know they play together, but Joao Paulo is not only that defensive midfield, but also on front. In front, he's been showing that he has a goal as well, right? And he knows how to distribute the game, and I think he's gonna be in the conversation for MVP player. He's been just amazing, not only also scoring amazing goals that we're gonna remember, and top 10 goals for the season, but I think Joao Paulo gives that balance to the team. He's crucial to be in the midfield, and also playing with Christian Roldan. We've seen Christian Roldan also in a really, really good season, not only with the Sounders, but also when he plays with the U.S. national team. And he's been giving also that confidence to Joao Paulo to really be the guy who knows how to distribute the ball and really is responsible of setting the pace for the team.
Well, and Roldan's been certainly probably drawing some defensive attention away from Joao Paulo, too. Across all competitions for Sounders, 4 goals, 1 assist in his last 4 outings, a goal in each one of those. I mean, it's just a great clip for him. Everyone out here loves Christian Roldan. You can't not watch him for 15 minutes and see what he brings, but how great to have him back from international duty and back in the fold.
Yes.
Well, taking a look at, pardon me there, I want to close it out with the midfield by talking about Josh Atencio, because coming into the year, I think he was looked at as, okay, he's going to be another one of these young guys. He'll get some spot time here and there. Maybe he'll show flashes. but he has very quickly integrated himself as a regular. It wouldn't surprise me if Schmetzer relies on him when he's putting down his starting 11 on the team sheet every day.
Well, Andrew, talking about complete defensive midfields, Josh Atencio has it all. And he's been not only showing with the minutes that he's been on the field, but also that confidence that Brian Schmetzer is giving him during this season. And he's been really, really good. He stepped up at the right moment, and also the players even recognize how confident he is, and he adapted himself to the team so quickly. It's been one of those impressive players for this season. Also a big surprise that we were not expecting, right? And I think Josh Atencio has a lot of room to grow, but he's already an overall really good player. And right next to Joao Paulo as well, they really complement each other, right? And also Josh has that strength, that he's young, so he has a lot of energy as well. So he's really good at recovering, and crucial for the Sounders to especially start the attack as well when they recover a ball.
Well, Stefan Fry at training this week was asked kind of what goes into these late runs that the Sounders have made a habit of going on these last couple of years with Brian Schmetzer in charge. He had a pretty interesting answer. I'll be curious to hear your reaction. But first, let's hear that audio from Stefan Fry at training.
It'd be awesome if we had like a little extra boost trigger and you just press the button come October and you step into it, but I don't think it's that easy because otherwise everybody would be doing it. Very fortunate that I think we have high expectations of ourselves with a high standard, but up until now we've been able to, I would argue, live up to it for the most part and be consistently decent, and have, consistently been able to hone in when you can't make so many errors anymore towards the end of the season, and when playoffs are around the corner and you have to try to find your best game. So those are all really good positives, but I would argue they don't come for free. I think we practice really hard. We're a hard-working group, and maybe that's part of the reward that we reap from that hard work.
So, Diego, I mean, Steph said it pretty well there, but in your mind, what goes into the fact that the Sounders just kind of age like a fine wine over the course of the season? They're just excellent through September and October, and as we've seen the last couple of years in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, I think it's been crucial from Schmetzer how to rotate players during the season. And, considering Sounders have a lot of injuries, right? And we were talking about it at the beginning of the show. So Schmetzer somehow finds also those young players that stepping up in a big way, and also recovering Stefan Fry towards the end of the season and getting that leader as a goalkeeper who's been crucial for MLS Cup championships for the Sounders. It's just been great. They know when to turn on the playoff time, basically, right? So in fall, when they need to step up, and the players know that, and to me, it's really amazing is how they're able to rotate, and the style of play doesn't change a lot, because usually in other teams you would see when the main guys are not on the field, the game, the way of playing, the team, the way they play is really different. For the Sounders, they have that philosophy that over the years Brian Schmetzer has been able to teach the players, and also incentivize the players to play the same way, to trust each other, and I think that shows, right? And we'll see now in the playoffs how good the Sounders can especially go back to that MLS Cup final.
Diego, I think you're completely bang on with that point. I mean, every sports team in existence talks about the next man up philosophy. The Sounders very clearly live that philosophy. I mean, starting 5 teenagers on the road and still taking 3 points at FC Austin. And I mean, look at some of the guys who are on the bench tonight. Ethan Doubelair, Daniel Leyva. You've got Josh Atencio there in the starting 11. Nuhu, who when he first came here from Rainbow FC Bemenda, was working down at then Sounders 2, now Tacoma Defiance. There really is this commitment to a talent pipeline at every level of this organization, and you are seeing it pay off in real time, which is very fun to watch. We'll hope it continues to pay off over the span of 90 minutes tonight.
Yes. Yeah, it'll be really, really good to see, and I think all the Sounders fans are up for something special, let's hope, this playoff season.
Well, there was one other soundbite that we didn't have time to include in tonight's audio, and it was my favorite thing that I've ever heard Brian Schmetzer say, and it was about Nico Benezet's goal celebration against that last outing against Vancouver, which was, and I quote, "I believe that's what the kids call twerking." Diego, that was one of the single most memorable goal celebrations I've ever seen in all my time watching the Sounders. Apparently, Benezet later claimed he did it pretty much on a dare from a friend who texted him and said, you know, showed him a video of someone else doing it. But my question for you, and it's an important one, Diego, if you had to select one classic dance move to be the proper goal celebration, what is the dance move that should be taken?
That's a good question. I would go with it's common, but I think it's always good. The Macarena dance.
Okay.
You know it, I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a good celebration dance, right?
Yeah,
and not, you know, not all the twerking. So, but it's, you know, it's I would say PG rated, right? Or all family for it.
Fair enough. Well, I'm gonna throw one out to my friend who used to be a line dancing instructor and say that the boot scootin' boogie is the only appropriate choice to make. Well, Sounders fans, when the Sounders win at home, use score deals on Zulily.com with Goal Win Shop. Learn more about Goal Win Shop at SoundersFC.com/promotions. Well, it is Andrew Harvey alongside Diego Arioja here, counting you down to kickoff on the Emerald Queen Casino countdown to kickoff, scheduled for 5:38 p.m. here on SoundersFC.com and the Sounders FC app. And Diego, in our final segment here, the head-to-head between these two. Sounders, all-time, very good against Houston. 11 wins, 4 losses, 6 draws in their time in Major League Soccer. But Houston, historically strong at home against Seattle, 4 wins, 4 draws, 2 losses. Schmetzer, a better record in Houston, 3 wins, a draw, and a loss, and that includes that 2017 Western Conference Final playoff leg. I mean, these teams, they know each other so well. Things have been cagey between them in the past. What are you expecting tonight?
I'm expecting also a close game. The Sounders are gonna be smart about it. They know how to play against Houston in the first game of the season. You know, they had the win, and we mentioned it before. But I think now it's different, right? Because you play at Houston. Houston in those home games, at least today, again, they're gonna try to go and put everything they have, right? They're gonna try to trust their experienced guys on top that we talked about, and they're gonna try to create some trouble. I think the Houston is also gonna take the initiative, at least at the beginning, and then Sounders are gonna just sit back, wait, and we know how good they are, you know, when they need to counter, right? So I think for Seattle, they just need to wait, and then they have their moments, they have the quality, and I think if the Sounders play smart, it should be a win, hopefully, for an away win. And then you were mentioning it would be also that, you know, record, right, that the Sounders would beat in terms of winning away games in regular season.
Well, I mean, yeah, 30 points away from home, just a huge,
impressive,
huge bar for anyone. This Sounders team would love to hit that mark tonight, particularly, as we mentioned, with Colorado on the midweek away from home and Sporting Kansas City. We'll get into that in our post-game coverage. That will be big for them. The 2-0 win, statistically, the two teams very evenly matched in that contest. It was a free-flowing game, a lot of well-connected passes. What are the lessons Seattle can take from that match and try to apply them on the road away from home where things can be quite different?
I think in the midfield is going to be crucial, right? Josh Atencio, we were talking about how crucial he's going to be today, recovering the ball. Same with Joao Paulo, also cutting all the circuits in the middle, because we know that those three on top and Houston, they're really good. They have the quality, they have the experience, and they're gonna try to, you know, to put some pressure in the back line. But I think in the midfield is where the key stands for the Sounders, and I think especially in between Joao Paulo and Atencio, that really need to control the game.
If I had to ask you to break it down into a couple quick things, your keys for the match tonight, what needs to happen for the Sounders in the first half, particularly in that first 30 minutes? You kind of alluded to it earlier with maybe absorbing some pressure and letting yourself play into the game.
Yeah, I would say talking about being smart, right? So being smart about the game, not sit back, but try to wait for Houston and then control the game in the midfield eventually. I think Houston, they're going to be desperate if they're not able to score in the first 30 minutes. And we know Sounders, they can hold the ball, and then they can start create and use the wings. I think using Christian, we've seen it and we were talking about it, using Christian in one of the wings is going to be crucial. And then feeding balls into the box, where Will Bruin, we know he can score. So I would say that would be what I take.
And Brune, we definitely know, can score. He scored 50 in his time at Houston before he came out here. We haven't had a chance to touch on this yet. A striker going out there against his former club. It's widely known that Will's departure from Houston was not on the best of terms, felt a little hard done by from the fan base, and came out here and has just been an absolutely critical part of the Sounders infrastructure for the last couple of years. What goes into it as a former striker going out there against the fans who used to cheer you and trying to shut them up on the road?
Well, that's always when a player plays against their old team. There's always some respect, but you know, to your point, if you didn't go in good terms, then you want to score, and you have that extra incentive, right, to score against your old team. And why not, like, celebrating as you should? Especially, I know Will Brune respects the institution, but I think in this case he won't respect tonight's game and will try to score.
Well, we'll be back at halftime, but now we'll send it off to PNC Stadium. Keith Costigan, Casey Keller, and Steve Zakuani on the call. Tonight's countdown to kickoff has been presented by Emerald Queen Casino, the betting capital of the Northwest. Now let's send it off. Thank you so much. We'll see you at halftime.
We mentioned in the pregame about the issues recently for Houston. They went 16 games without a win, but 3 undefeated at home, and they've gone with a much more attack-minded lineup, Steve. We'll get to Steve in a moment. Casey, we see Pico, Urruti, Quintero, basically a front 3.
Yeah, a front 3 and 3 guys that don't like to defend a lot too. So it's going to put a little pressure on that back line, but it's a group that can cause you a lot of problems. Expect them to press high at times and really look to disrupt the Sounders playing down the back.
Griffin Dorsey, another player who's been in good form recently as well. Wherever you go, you're going to have Sounders fans in attendance as we take a look at tonight's pitch conditions presented by Primera Blue Cross. Primera Blue Cross, always in your corner, and the temperature dipping a little bit lower than we talked to Brian Spencer. He was expecting it to be a little bit hotter, but you mentioned, Steve, and we'll talk about that as the game progresses. A lot better playing at Houston in October than it is in July. Houston in that all-orange strip will be the sign to kick things off. Stefan Frey has been on a great run since coming back. He's only conceded 6 goals this season in over 900 minutes. Didn't pick up the clean sheet last week, but one big save and it was 2-1. Ryan Smetzer, like all of us, just waiting for the kick-off. Tab Ramos, you can look at former US international, former U20 coach. Match referee is Nima Sagafi, and the first half kick is brought to you by Prime Video, the official video streaming partner of Sounders FC. Long ball forward, and Houston, they're not afraid to go long. They're not afraid to be aggressive. And it's the Sounders who've won that ball quickly, and Christian Roldan finding Will Brune. Nice ball out wide here for Medranda. Medranda lifting that one towards the far post. Adabe, the left-sided centre-back, clearing it. Back as far as Kellen Rowe. All central here for Houston, and again they're trying to go long over the top of Arriaga. Fafa Pico. Steve, a theme there, you can see him just trying to get in behind the centre-back for the Sounders.
Yes, Fafa Pico, he's always lurking. He's a guy, obviously, he's into double digits. He knows where the goal is, and I expect to see that from Houston a bit today, where it's a lot more vertical. They're going from back to front as quickly as possible, mixed in with some build-up, but shaping up to be a very open game.
Urruti playing that ball out wide. Fafa Pico's now come out to this right-hand side. Quintero, who will go central as well. They're playing with a back 3. Parker is on the right of a back 3. Zarek Valentin, not used to seeing him there, but he's the centre of a back 3. All play forward towards Quintero, but well closed down and marshalled by Shane O'Neill. You almost get the sense, Casey, that your former US international teammate Tab Ramos is just trying things out with maybe an eye towards next season as well about what players he's going to keep.
Yeah, I think there's a clear call for that. And I think it happens to a lot of teams that find themselves at the wrong end of the table at this time of the year. Now it's time to make decisions, and you want to give looks in different formations, different people, different combinations to see if it's something you want to work on next year, if it's something you got to reset. And obviously a player like Fafa Picault is in great form, is really playing to be a big part of those plans next season.
Max Urruti, who's really done his rounds in MLS, number of clubs. Toronto, Portland, Dallas, Montreal as well on his many stops. A striker that's never really been prolific, but
he was a teammate of mine at one point, and I've got to tell you, he's a guy who, even if he's not on the score sheet, he never stops working, never stops running. He's pretty good in training too, so he's a very good locker room guy to have. But of course, we keep going back to it. Strikers are judged on goals, and he can be a bit streaky at times, but does know where the back of the net is, and you have to be aware of him for 90 minutes, as he will harass and harry you, the back line in possession, as he just did there to Shane O'Neill.
Ball back for Javier Arriaga, who does come back from international duty himself. He was on as a late sub in the last match, just got 3 minutes in the international window, so I guess sometimes when that happens, Casey, you can be so eager to get back to your club and prove a point, perhaps.
Yeah, it's frustrating. You know, you go away, you don't play, you see other players training and getting ready to go. So yeah, it can be frustrating. I can probably see a little bit of that from Christian Roldan as well in the match today.
Nice ball from Roldan out wide for Kellen Rowe. That one takes a deflection and will go out of play off Junqua. It'll be a corner kick for the Sounders.
Yeah, and it's tough when probably, particularly you look at a player like Christian Roldan, who then, you know, watches his brother play continually for El Salvador, and so yeah, wants to come back and prove something. And the Sounders already are showing that, you know, what we hoped for is that there wouldn't be a situation where they just sit back and absorb some pressure. It was get on the front foot early and winning this corner.
Yeah, Alex played all 3 games for El Salvador. Victory against Panama, losses to Costa Rica and Mexico. João Paulo, they headed towards that near post. Arriaga made contact, but difficult angle to read that, that one back on target, and that one goes well wide.
Yeah, tough angle to direct the header on target. Probably better option just to flick that ball into a more dangerous area. But as you just mentioned, you got a player that's back from international duty trying to prove something, trying to go for the spectacular.
Houston on the field, they've had issues. Off the field, the good news is new ownership. Going to have a new general manager soon as well. Tab Ramos for now has to work with what he's got, and it hasn't been enough this season. 45 goals conceded, 22 more than the Sounders. They brought in that man to try and help defensively, Parker, but it hasn't worked out that way. Urruti trying to take it around the side of Shane O'Neill. Shane O'Neill, Steve, last week starting in the centre of a back 3. Now he moves out again, but he's been able to play in all of those positions.
He's been good. I think he's played in all 3 of the centre-back positions for the Sounders this season. He's been very, very consistent. You know, we go back to when he was first signed. I don't know that any of us, or maybe he was the only one who thought that he could come in and have this kind of impact. When the Sounders have all 4 centre-backs fit, he's in the running. He's in the running, and it's tough to argue against his inclusion at this point, because very rarely is he getting beat, very good at tracking into the channels, and of course last week he got his goal.
Good football here from the Sounders. On a Christian Roldan. João Paulo. Atencio. Nice ball into Freddy Montero. Roldan trying to thread that one through, and Zarek Valentin, first action we see from him as the middle of a back 3 defender. Ball played forward. There's that pace we talked about, and AB Sissoko, no slouch himself, does very well to get back in ahead of Fafa Picault, and a bit of a nudge as well on Picault.
Well, Sissoko does great by just using his body to get in between and not let Quintero get that quick run on him. After he slowed him up a little bit, that gave him the opportunity then to shepherd the ball back to Steph, who then did an excellent job of just keeping possession. But good work early from Sissoko, recognizing that pace of Quintero and the possibility of getting in behind.
Picault, Quintero, both very pacey players.
Yeah, they can cause troubles from just about anything. Just a little you know, through ball, playing the ball to one another as well. You take your eye off of one, and before you know it, the other one's on its way through.
9 goals and 2 assists since the start of August for Fafa Picault. Only one player in MLS has more goal involvements. Steve, care to hazard a guess as to who it is?
That's a tough one. Give me 5 minutes.
And access to the internet, and I'm sure you'll be okay. I'm coming back to you on it. I will give you a couple of minutes. Freddie Montero, nice ball out wide. Shane O'Neill venturing forward, still going. Path of Kellen Rowe. Lets that one run back through for João Paulo. Nice ball. Good turn for Christian Roldan. Kellen Rowe in a good crossing position. That one again comes off the defender, Jonkwa, and it'll be another corner kick for the Sounders.
Yeah, you can see just a little frustration in Kellen, knowing that he could have played that ball a little better. But in the end, worst case scenario, knock it off the defender, win a corner for your side, bring the big bodies up, and see what you can do off this set piece.
João Paulo taking a long look inside the area before he sets himself up for this one. Will Bruin, one of the many options, delivered in. That's a very good defensive header from Hadebe. And as far as Roldan, Medranda, who's been in very good form recently, longer ball forward. That one's dealt with well. Do have good size at the back. They have had issues defensively on set pieces this year, though. Kellen Rowe, another good cross, and that one dealt with very well by Valentin. Yeah, but it is another corner.
It's good defending by Valentin, but it's a very good start by the Sounders. It's what we asked for. Play on the front foot. Kellen Rowe finding himself 2 or 3 times in very good situation, and each cross a little bit better than the last one. That was his best one yet into a dangerous area, and you have to say it was good defending by the Houston Dynamo, who now have to face a corner.
Again, it's João Paulo. This one a little bit deeper. The header from Montero, and he was open, and he looks frustrated. That was a real opportunity. First big chance of the match for the Sounders, and it goes well over.
Yeah, it was a shame for Freddie. He just got his timing a little bit wrong on the jump, so as he circles back around in this space, it just opens up for him. Looks like he's marked by Matias Vera, who just completely loses him as Freddie comes in, and maybe he was so wide open he was just surprised and got his timing wrong on the jump.
Yeah, you could just see there he was coming back down, wasn't he? And well, this time he tries to make up for it with a longer range hit, and that one also well over the crossbar, but involved early on, Freddie Montero.
Yeah, and I love it. He's moving, he's very active, his passing's been very sharp. I always found with Freddie, if he gets his first 5, 6, 7, 8 touches to be good in the game, he'll go on to have a good game. It's when he's not involved, it's when he's on the outside, the periphery of the game, that he can struggle. He's made a very, very good start to the game today. Obviously had a big chance that he'd want back, but happy to see Montero involved early on here for the Sounders.
And Atencio appealing for a handball, and the referee, Nima Sagafi, gives the free kick for the Sounders in another good position. That ball flicked up, and there you can see quite clearly it comes off the hand.
Well, it's nice to see that the Sounders have had this quick intensity, winning a lot of those half clearances at Houston, being able to put a second, a third cross into the box. So far, Houston, for the most part, has defended pretty well, but good pressure from the Sounders early.
João Paulo, another little flick again. It's Freddie Montero. Medranda trying to head it back inside the area. Medranda blocks. Atencio, now the break might be on. You can see what the idea is for Houston when they get on the ball. Move it forward as quickly as possible. Quintero inside for Pico. Loses out. Atencio going the other way. He's got Sounders either side of him. Bruin to his right, Montero to his left. That's who he chooses. Montero pulls it back. Christian Roldan. Well, 4 and 4 is the sound of a hymn, and that's his first effort today as it goes curling wide. But promising break there for Brian Smetz's men.
No, it all starts from that slip in midfield, and then a good counter. Freddie just waits his time. Nice cutback, finding Christian Roldan around the penalty spot. And under pressure, it would have been a tough finish, but under pressure, he's unable to direct his shot on target.
Windermere Real Estate, all in for your home team, all in for you. And again, Quintero, he's dropping so deep, almost as a free roll. I'm not quite sure if he's actually helping Houston in terms of getting out. almost getting in the way of Vera there. They do win the free kick. I can tell you New England have gone in front against Chicago Fire, so again that gap will remain in terms of the Supporters' Shield race if both sides were to win today. Chicago Fire had been holding them at 1-1. Will Bruin trying to flick that ball out wide and just can't connect. Long ball forward again. Pico trying to get beyond Arriaga. He's so lively with his movement, Fafa Pico. Now they look to get the ball out onto this right-hand side. Chance across for Griffin Dorsey. He's been in good form since arriving from Toronto. Almost utilised more as a winger at Toronto, but now wing back, doesn't love to get forward. Parker. Hadebe. Nice ball forward, lovely link-up play as well. Pico, chance to cross over the head of Quintero. Dorsey on the far side, but good play from João Paulo to take that one down. It's not uncommon though, Casey, I know you've watched some of the Houston games recently, for them to create and have good spells of possession in the opposition half of the field.
Yeah, but that was a prime example. It was a good combination, but that final pass just not where it needed to be. Isn't it? Pushed Pico so far wide, then the cross. But also after Pico got in that wide position, you just didn't see the runs into the box. So here's the combination, a better pass, and that's in a shooting spot. Then the cross comes, and there's nobody at the far post. Look at the two Houston players deeper. They should have recognized seconds earlier as that ball went wide to make that 10, 15-yard sprint in the box and to be an option at the far post. It doesn't happen, and in the end, the Sounders control the play very easily.
That's a free kick in a central position for Houston, midway into the Sounders half of the field, coming up on 14 minutes into this first half. Matias Vera and Darwin Quintero, the two players over it. Quintero tries to let a little flick in behind. Arruti, it's a super goal. Oh, the Sounders are caught napping. Lovely free kick from Quintero. And Arruti, he makes no mistake. Houston have the lead.
Well, I mean, that is as good a goal as you'll see across MLS this week, and it's very well worked from the Houston Dynamo's perspective. Urruti just peels off of Freddie Montero's shoulder there, and the technique and skill it takes to pull that off. Watch it over the shoulder. Stephen Fry has no chance. Perfectly weighted pass, great run. For the Sounders, it's a very soft goal to give up there on a set piece, but take nothing away from Maxi Urruti. That is technique of the highest level, such high quality, and the Dynamo take the lead.
Well, it came after the Sounders pretty much had all of the running early on. A free kick. Quintero wanted it, and you can see why. Well, those are two players that weren't involved in the international break and perhaps working on set pieces with the coaching staff and Tab Ramos. And it's worked out. Very good goal early on for Houston. Now let's see how the Sounders will respond. Ruti. Quintero. Back to Ruti. And that one comes off Arriaga. Sounders, Casey, who pride themselves on the set-piece defending, just caught a little bit slow to react to that one.
Yeah, it's almost a situation where you see that run coming, you're twofold. You think either they're going to, either you block them and you don't let them continue the run, or you let them run into an offside position. The worry about the latter is if the timing's perfect, then you're on the wrong side of the ball, and that's really what happened. Quintero, it was a excellently timed ball with the run from Urruti, and then take nothing away. The contact that Urruti had to make back over his shoulder is so difficult, as Steve alluded to. You know, but really in the end, if you just drop back and keep him in front of you, it's really impossible for that play to develop.
fourth career goal for Ruti against Seattle Sounders. Sounders looking to respond. Montero edge of the penalty on his left foot, and that one comes off Parker and is out of play for another corner kick.
Yeah, but I just don't see the Sounders dropping their heads. They've shown this year they can come back from a goal down so early. They'll feel more than confident in the way that they've been playing, that they can recover. And again, they've already created, I'm not, was it 4 or 5 corners already in this first 15, 16 minutes. So they've had a lot of the ball in the Houston half.
Last time it was Montero who got free inside the area. This one doesn't beat the near post man. Medranda chasing it down. There's a searching ball forward. Edge of the penalty area, Will Bruin. Nice hold of play from him. Atencio. A chip towards the far post, and Hanabe does well. Look at these counter opportunities here. Aruti. Hanabe just been told to just play that one back for Max Aruti. Adalberto Carrasquilla. Houston actually played quite well, Steve, in the earlier game this season against the Sounders at Lumen Field. 2-0 loss, but it was a tighter game than the score suggests.
Yes, that was a tight game. We spoke to Brian Schmetzer earlier this morning, and he alluded to that, saying that he was taking nothing for granted. It's a team that hasn't got results and things weren't going their way, but as they've shown early on here, they possess a big threat in behind through Pico and the vision of Quintero, and Urruti's running as well. Something to watch for, and now they've got something to defend. The Sounders are going to have to earn everything they get here this afternoon.
The Sounders have come back to gain points on 3 occasions this season after conceding first 2 victories and a tie. Christian Roldan rides that challenge well, tries to drive at the Houston back 3, but good play again from Hanabe. He's had a couple of good moments, that left-sided centre-back. And well, the Houston fans want a free kick for the foul by Shane O'Neill, and they've got one.
Yeah, Sounders players are complaining that they felt that maybe Christian Roldan was held a little bit when he had gone off on that run before the touch got away from him. But then Shane O'Neill just stepping up and making sure that Urruti wasn't going to get away from him. And good turn from Urruti, good touch, and that's one way to stop the continuation of that run.
Steve, remember what I said when I heard Shane O'Neill speak? I wasn't sure he was from Cork. Now I'm 100% sure he's from Cork. Sounders fans, you can get the new Sounders Awards credit card from Warfed Bank to score exclusive fan experiences, team swag, and more. Free kick again. 15, 20 yards inside the Sounders half of the field. Carrasquilla this time comes short for it. A little bit too long to go inside the area from there. Big gap in the middle here, and Pico getting through between the 2 defenders, and Fry elects to kick that one clear. Might have come off as Sounders defender last, but alarm bells ringing there for the Sounders defensively. Dorsey, Quintero, good spell this for the hosts. Still Quintero on his left foot. It's 2-0. Well, he may be entering the twilight of his career, but Darwin Quintero still has that sauce when he wants it. Super second goal, and Houston have doubled the lead.
Well, we had a feeling that Houston were going to come into this game with really nothing to lose, and that's what we're seeing so far, is just getting the ball forward and finding spaces that you normally don't see from the Sounders. Quintero does a good job from an on-rushing Arriaga, slides over on his left foot. The key to this play is this touch here, getting into the box from Arriaga. There you have both Shane O'Neill and Giampaolo can't afford to make a rash challenge, creates the space, moves onto his left foot, and then just hammers the shot past Stephen Fry's left hand and into the corner to double the Houston Dynamo's lead.
You know, Keith, I said in the pregame show that he may not be who he once was, but he's a guy that if he's feeling it on that particular evening, he can pull off things that very few players can pull off. He gave his best years to Liga MX for sure. Hasn't quite hit the heights consistently in MLS, but on a one-off night, he's a supremely gifted player who, to me, from my time in the Sounders, that's the best player I faced when you remove international friendlies. He was something else in his time at Santos Laguna and at America. Isn't quite that player anymore, but you just see what he can do on any given night.
And the Sounders trying to respond, going the other way, but again, they look so open on the counter. Quintero telling Pico to go further forward. Now he's dictating play centrally, but good run back from Atencio. Well, incredible. The Sounders had looked very good early on. That opening goal changed things, and then that double. Darwin Quintero. Casey, when you see players that can produce moments of magic like that, when you're playing against the team who is top of the Western Conference, they tend to get up for these kind of games, don't they?
Well, they do, and we talked about the nothing to lose, the no fear coming into this. They're really, I mean, it would be a complete long shot. They'd pretty much have to win out and still maybe not make the playoffs. So it's a case where, you know, we talked about sometimes it's that wounded animal that has nothing to lose, and they come out here. You talked about the ability of the front three players in the pregame. Already, two of the three have already scored in this first 20 minutes. So, yeah, and we also know that when you have nothing to lose, those three guys aren't going to really be held accountable to get back and defend and make things, you know, difficult for the Sounders going forward. They'll cheat a little bit on the counter, and so far it's paid off.
They have been scoring goals recently. They got a couple against SKC in that 4-2 loss. 3 against Dallas, where they were 3-0 up and ended up just holding on for a 3-2 win. So don't go anywhere just yet. They have a tendency to concede at the other end as well. Ball back for Aliaga. Again put under pressure. He's not been given a moment's rest since arriving back from international duty. Atencio. Again looking for that longer ball, but Dorsey well positioned. Tell you, New England have dropped points today. They've drawn against Chicago Fire, so if the Sounders can somehow fight back in this one, they're on the back foot here again. Pico up against Arriaga. Pico goes for goal. Save from Fry.
That was good work from Arriaga. I thought on the second goal, Arriaga was a little harsh coming out and trying to make that challenge, but that time he did a great job of just ushering Pico into a position that it was going to be so difficult to score from that angle. So give him some credit, but still you're already seeing that back three as it steps up. You're having issues with Houston players running in behind, so it has to be a quicker recognition to keep them in front. But now at 2-0 down, you expect the Sounders to be even more progressive going forward and trying to get back into this match, which could really lead into Houston having a ton of space on the counter.
Christian Roldan made a couple of good runs early on, tries another one there, but Houston Dynamo have the throw in deep inside their own half of the field. Rejigged back three today after what was a pretty much abysmal defensive performance against SKC, where they conceded 4 times. Actually had to change the formation mid-first half. There's a foul, and the Sounders will have a free kick. Freddie Montero going down. Just a little bit of a nibble there from Carrasquilla.
Yeah, what's really important now is understanding that, you know, we've talked about it so many times, how that 2-goal lead can be so precarious, where the team scores, gets one back, and then all you see is the panic station set in. So at 2-0, I wouldn't think twice yet about the Sounders getting back into this match.
João Paulo whips this free kick in, and it looked like Will Bruin actually lost sight of the ball as it was travelling, and well, to rub salt in the wounds, he's lost the free kick call as well. Carrasquilla stares down. It's going to be a free kick for Houston. Not sure if Will Bruin caught him inadvertently. We'll catch here.
It's just a little two-handed push in the back. Will trying to create some space for himself. got caught.
Will Bruin scored last week. We heard him singled out by Brian Smetzer in the post-game as well, in terms of his commitment, his belief as well that there were goals there. Belief has not been an issue for this Sounders team this season. Well, they have a test on their hands here, 2-0 down early on. And they've given the ball away again, Carrasquilla, and that one just too far ahead of Quintero.
Yeah, if Carrasquilla plays that ball into Quintero's feet, where then he can cut back across onto his left foot again, would have been panic stations for the Sounders defensively, but that overweight pass, and there's a tough challenge. Not called.
And Dorsey went down. It did look like a lot of contact from Medranda. Fry very confidently passing that one by Arruti. Didn't look like it was too far away from the striker. Well, looking towards Will Bruin and Valentin, who's done well so far in the middle of a back three. Will Bruin back for Montero. Medranda arriving a little bit later. Whips that delivery and not a bad cross, and Hadebe miscues the clearance. Dorsey will complete it though.
Yeah, that's always nice, that miscued clearance that goes straight to one of your men. It's like when you top a back pass up down the middle and it just goes right to one of your midfielders.
Medranda. Montero just knocked off the ball there from Parker, and the referee says that contact is okay. Good pressure from Medranda, but Dorsey on the second ball again. Vera loses out. Will Bruin can't get that ball to Montero. Sounders just not firing in the final third since conceding that opening goal. Sissoko, and that one be out of play for the Sounders throw-in.
Yeah, 2 or 3 passes out of the back now, or at least out of midfield, trying to spring Quintero the first time. That time Pico. Sounders do a good job of intercepting it, but again, you see the space as João Paulo gets, or Will Bruin gets tackled right out of his shoe.
Well, Valentin claiming it wasn't a free kick. I think Will Bruin is presenting his boot as evidence.
But I don't see the difference between that one and the one on Freddie Montero just moments ago. I think both pushing it back, so the Sounders will take this one. It's in a very, very good position. I had a great opening 15 minutes. Haven't really responded to the 2 punches received from the Houston Dynamo. So set pieces become very critical. They're a way to really put the opponent under pressure, and so it needs a good service from João Paulo. And this is one of those you can really bend on frame and just have your guys run across the goalie's sight of vision. Very tough to defend.
And everyone else walks away, leaving João Paulo over this one again. Shane O'Neill the furthest towards the far post, making his run across now. And again, not the greatest of deliveries from João Paulo. Haven't said that often this season. He heads the clearance back inside the area. There was a challenge right on the edge of the penalty area, and the referee's going to give the free kick. It was a delayed whistle here, but this one is going to be right on the edge. Arriaga was the man fouled. Hadebe was the defender involved.
Yeah, to me that's a foul. I think it's a good call. Hadebe doesn't win the ball, jumps right into Arriaga. I'm not sure where the delay of the call was, waiting for advantage somehow, but in the end it's blown, and Sounders with a huge opportunity to get back into this match.
Well, a couple of Sounders over this one, Freddie Montero being one of them. Jimmy Medranda, the left-footed option. Javier Arriaga just came up and had a word with both of them. Christian Roldan was there, now he's walked away. Any fancy here, Steve?
It's a tough one. I think I want to go with Freddie Montero. I think he has that finesse in him to pull this. So it's a tough one to get up and over the wall and down again. But the way Medranda strikes the ball, maybe it's one of those you put right through it. So yes, I'm sitting on the fence.
And Sounders with a mini wall. And that central angle. Freddie Montero curls it, and it's over.
Yeah, and that's Steve's point, how difficult that ball is to get it up and down. I thought it was set up more for a left footer than a right footer, but Freddie wants to bring this out, and you see, had the goalkeeper beat, but in the end, it's so difficult to get that up and down so quickly.
Tonight's match is presented by Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone. Right, Steve, I'm coming back to you. Who is the only player with more goal involvements since August in MLS ahead of
I've been racking my brain, and the team that's done well, obviously Sporting KC has, and it has to be Daniel Shallowy, but I'm not certain.
It is Ola Kamara for DC United.
Oh, wow.
And I would not have got it either. Casey, I know you had it right.
Oh, yeah.
Ball that Valentin is going to get there to ahead of Will Bruin. You can see Brian Smetzer, he's just up in his technical area. I don't think he's going to panic. Almost one of those tests where it tells you a little bit more about your side as you head towards the playoffs. And Casey, when you're playing against a side that don't win very often, you get that one goal to get back in, you start to create a little bit of nervousness amongst them as well.
Absolutely. And again, there's no real reason for Houston now to be looking at this and going, hey, we got to scramble a result here. No, they're still going to play with this freedom going forward, trying to score more goals and trying to impress. So yeah, I think the Sounders just stick with the game plan, tighten things up defensively that little bit, and just look for that first goal. Once they get that first goal, then readjust from there.
Quintero, maybe Sissoko, knocking that one out of play. A reminder, a win or a draw tonight clinches a top 4 seed for the Sounders. And a victory tonight would make it 200 regular season victories in MLS play. And they would be the quickest side to reach that number. That would be in 417 games. The current record, 432. The LA Galaxy. So again, just showing the level of consistency from your Seattle Sounders since arriving as a Major League Soccer team. Dorsey, nice little touch from him. Assists on the season for him. Sissoko back to Arriaga. Houston really dropping off, enticing that back 3 forward. João Paulo trying to receive that ball back. Not much space in the Houston half of the field right now and how deep they're sitting. Carrasquilla. Quintero on the turn. Atencio does well. Will Bruin. João Paulo. A good play from Quintero coming back in as well, although he's complaining now the whistle's gone against him. He felt the exact same thing happened to him just a moment ago.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those where I think the two, either one could have been a foul. So Quintero a little bit frustrated there. He definitely catches João Paulo at first look there. It's a free kick, and he felt Atencio had fouled him earlier, hence the frustration. You can just see it here as João Paulo goes to make the pass. It's a little clip. It's a foul.
Perhaps not noted, Darwin Quintero, for tracking back in his defensive work. But when you're as good going the other way as we've seen, perhaps you get away with it.
Now you're starting to understand, Keith.
This is what you explain about how you play. I love it. Arriaga. Haven't seen much of Kellen Rowe at right wing back so far.
Yeah, I think in that first 10 minutes he got forward 2 or 3 times, and then really since then, pretty much after Houston scored, they've done a better job of containing him coming forward in those positions. We're going to have to see a lot more of that, I think, of the Sounders, the wing backs getting forward and being more dangerous and trying to pin, Houston deep in their own half, which is really what they did until that opening goal. Is they really, pinned Houston in their own half, had 2 or 3 opportunities to put, crosses into the box and make things difficult, and they just haven't quite recovered. Almost shell-shocked, particularly when that second goal went in.
Yeah, it's hard to remember Michael Nelson really being called into action so far for Houston Dynamo, the goalkeeper. Quintero, Dorsey. Plenty of time for the Sounders to get back into this one. Good challenge from Madranda to deny Dorsey's ability to get forward. Sounders on a run of 8 straight wins versus Houston Dynamo. That is actually the worst run Houston have had against any side in MLS. And we're trying to put that right here tonight. Playing well so far. Canaskia. Good read from Medranda. Montero. A little bit deeper. And again, they just can't connect going forward. Almost looking too direct there to Will Bruin.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out exactly what's happened because...
Another ball in behind here. Pico. Good play from Arriaga.
Because in that first 15 minutes, Keith, the Sounders passing was actually very, very good. There was lots of little combination. Everybody was moving. Each player seemed to know 2 steps ahead, and the Dynamo at times were chasing shadows. And then since then, it's very disjointed. Even now, Joao Paulo, he's taking 3-4 touches, waiting for options to open up. Maybe a part of it is that the Dynamo are just sitting back. They've got their goals, and us and the Sounders now to find ways to play through us. But the Sounders also, I think, just a little less urgency in their play at times that's costing them as they approach the final third.
Parker. Yeah, it's going to be the questions that I think Brian Smetzer and his coaching staff are going to have to answer at half-time. I'd like to get one back before then. I want to make sure they don't concede again before then. Another break is on. Urruti, the scorer of the first goal. Still Urruti. Good challenge from Arriaga, but it falls again for Pico. Pico, the hot man, has been the quiet man of the front 3 so far. Quintero. Dorsey. It is Pico. Now he's trying to come to life. Quintero, Canaskia. Amazing how goals can just change the momentum and confidence. Valentine, Parker. This does not look like the Houston side that defensively were torn apart against Sporting KC. Junqua, cross in, and that one travels through the 6. Almost dead in play on this far side. There was gaps again defensively. Actually took a deflection. It's going to be a corner kick.
Yeah, that's what I saw, Keith, that had taken that deflection. If not for that deflection, I think we could have very comfortably be looking at 3-0 down. But the deflection just took it out of the path of the willing runners centrally. And it does seem at times of how decisive this Houston attack is, and the Sounders have struggled with the answer to counter it.
Corner kick pulled back towards the halfway line. I think that was another training ground routine, but this one doesn't work. Canaskia wins it back though. Trying to find Quintero. Dorsey with the challenge on Medranda goes down and wins the free kick. And make sure you stick around after the whistle for the Sounders FC halftime show presented by Fred Meyer. We'll break down all of the action so far and get you set for the second half. Lamar Nagel will rejoin us and we'll get his thoughts. Interesting to hear what he has to say about the reasons why the Sounders find themselves in this 2-goal hole after almost 40 minutes of play. And of course the news earlier, the New England Revolution did drop points, only picking up 1 at home to Chicago Fire, so Sounders could close that gap to 3 in the Supporter Shield standings if they could win tonight, but that's a long way off right now. Christian Roldan wins the corner kick. Tab Ramos is the man we're looking at right now. Lived through a 16-match winless run. Not all managers can say that. His team riding high right now. Joao Paulo trying to change that. Cross comes in. Medranda on his left foot, edge of the penalty area. It's Jimmy Medranda again. An absolute scorcher from the edge of the penalty area has got the Sounders back in it. He only scores highlight reel goals, this man.
Well, the initial cross comes in, and it's not dealt with by Houston. It's flicked out wide. Medranda's left too wide open, has the time the comfortable time to bring it down, just address himself, and then smashes it into the corner. I don't know if this takes a little deflection as somebody gets ahead, but it doesn't matter either way. Nope, flies right over the head of Valentin, completely eludes Nelson. Fantastic strike from Jimmy Medranda to get the Sounders right back in this match before halftime.
The only thing better than the goal is the timing. The Sounders have not played well the last 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes. To score that right before halftime, you still have time now to maybe get another one, but definitely changes the mood of the halftime team, so you go in there with real belief that you can find your way back into this game.
I mentioned one before half it. I still have time to get another here, but right now they have to defend the set piece. Darwin Quintero. Houston Dynamo on the corner kick towards the far post over the head of everyone. I think Freddie Montero might have actually got a touch on it, so it'll be a throw-in for Houston. But, well, Jimmy Medranda, what a surprise he has been this season. 4th goal of the campaign to go along with his 3 assists.
He seems to get better every single time he plays, Jimmy Medranda, and offers something different in the attack. He's not a typical winger we've typically seen in Sounders history, but very technical, good on the ball, and of course has a great shot.
Dorsey, good run from him. Aruti, Kanaskia. Houston looking to restore the 2-goal cushion immediately with attacking intent here. Valentin. Pico. Over the head of everybody. Hatherby. Quintero. The ball from Quintero. Parker, the centre-back, raiding forward. They'll chip towards the far post. Fry has it. And is there a chance to launch a counter-attack here for the Sounders? He was looking that direction, saw nothing, and he'll just allow everybody to regroup.
Yeah, 2 different times in that same play. Houston looked like they had an opportunity to put a decent ball in the box. They elected to spin around, eventually a soft cross, and now all of a sudden Sounders back at the other end, but can't keep it under control. Will Bruin, and it's out for a Houston goal kick. So, you know, we thought this had the hallmark of being a wide open game, and Sounders started so brightly. Houston then snuck that 2-goal lead, and now with that great Jimmy Medranda strike, it's back to being open.
Nelson, I said he's been pretty much a spectator so far. He was pretty much a spectator for that Medranda strike as well. Came through traffic. I think Casey, I agree with you in terms of it almost looked like it took a deflection and just evaded a couple of defenders inside the area. Now Ruti's gone down, just picking up a bit of a knock, grabbing the referee as he goes down. And Pico calling for attention. Let's see what happened here.
Probably just winded. It looks like he caught the full brunt of Kellen Rose back there. Had the wind knocked out of him. I'm hoping that's all it is. I mean, all 3 goals, I've got to say, have been of the highest quality. I mean, it's for a neutral, at least watching this, I mean, wow. The quality of finishing has been tremendous.
And it changes the team talk, doesn't it, for Brian Smetzer? Heading in at halftime, getting that goal, getting your team back in it. Can argue it changes the team talk as well for Tab Ramos. Ramos now in deep discussion with former Akron defender Zarek Valentin. Once the 4th pick in the MLS draft. Is he the highest draft pick to come out of Akron?
There might have been a #1 at one point.
I'm trying to think who that would have been. Darlington Nagby, perhaps?
He was #2.
That's a question you're definitely going to get right, I know that. Ruti still receiving attention. Back for Hatherby. Vera. Now into the extra mile stoppage time here. We haven't been given an indication of just how many minutes there's going to be. Pico back for Quintero. Parker. Carrasquilla back for Tim Parker. Pico. Quintero. Nice ball forward. Urruti, who is okay again on the turn. Medranda back in and does well defensively. As far as Atencio, who clears it, but not far enough. Vera. Quintero gives it away cheaply. João Paulo. And he gives it right back. And that will be the final action. We had 2 minutes of stoppage time. Houston Dynamo with the fast start, getting the goals from Urruti, and then that individual effort from Darwin Quintero. But a lovely hit from Jimmy Medranda has got the Sounders back into it. Casey, your thoughts on the first half?
Yeah, I think after a good opening 10-15 minutes, frustrated to find the Sounders 2 goals down, but then as always, the team doesn't quit. They keep going. They make some slight adjustments. They get a great strike from Jimmy Medranda, and they're straight back in it. So I expect once again some further adjustments here at halftime to just probably look at some of the counter-attacking strength that Houston has, and to try to nullify that a bit in the second half, but have to be full of confidence to at least find an equalizer.
Yeah, that goal really changes the complexion of things. We're now joined by Coach Brian Smetzer. Coach, you conceded a couple of early goals, but good response to get Jimmy Medranda on the score sheet. What are your thoughts going in at halftime?
Well, you're not going to win games or championships giving goals away, so we're going to try and correct that first.
And what were some of those corrections that you see going forward? They obviously look very dangerous with that front three on the counterattack.
Yeah, well, Darwin Quintero is one of their top guys. We talked about it on the film, showed him the film, figure out where he pops up on different areas of the field. We have to shut him down, and then obviously Urruti and Papa, they're good players, so, you know, the guys have their hands full.
Thank you very much, Coach. Well, it is 2-1 Houston Dynamo after 45 minutes. We're going to take a short break. Make sure you stay with us. We'll be back with the Fred Meyer halftime show when we return.
Well, welcome back into the booth here on SoundersFC.com and the Sounders FC app. It is halftime between the Houston Dynamo FC and your Seattle Sounders. They trail 2-1 on the road to Houston Dynamo. I'm Andrew Harvey alongside Diego Arioja. You're listening to the halftime show presented by Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone. Well, it was a pretty fresh start for the Houston Dynamo after absorbing some pressure from Seattle in the early minutes. I mean, a world-class free kick from Darwin Quintero that's finished off by Maxi Urruti in the 14th minute there to make it 1-0.
Yeah, what a finish, right? Beautiful set piece. And what Maxi Urruti is able to do with that technique, just a beautiful goal. Nothing to do for Stefan Frei. And it was a really well-played set piece that the Sounders, in this case, they were just taking advantage of. And I think it was pretty smart from Darwin Quintero playing it to Maxi Urruti. And it's one of those plays that you can practice 10 out of, I would say 9 out of 10 times you don't get it, and this was like the perfect set piece, right?
Yeah, so that made it 1-0, and then 6 minutes later it went from bad to worse for the Sounders there in that first half. A ball in from the right side, Quintero flicks it over João Paulo, taps it past the charging Javier Arriaga, and then does pick his spot. It's a good finish for him, but a bit of a defensive breakdown for him to have that much time at the top of the 18.
Yeah, and we talked about at the beginning of the pre-match show that Darwin Quintero, he still has a lot of quality, even though he's older, but he has that experience, and if you give him space, he can do this type of plays, right? Yeah, I agree. Arriaga doesn't cut the play in time, and then Quintero has, a few seconds to decide, cuts to the left, and then that's a really perfect cross. Nothing to do for Stefan Frei as well for that one.
So the Sounders, who'd looked disjointed for large stretches of that first half, wind up getting a corner kick 41 minutes in, sent in by João Paulo, headed out to the edge of the box, and Jimmy Medranda, I swear, Diego, the man can only score worldies, steps up to the left side and blasts it through 4 defenders and past the keeper, Michael Nelson, to make it a 2-1 game. How important is that goal, not just in the span of tonight's match, but psychologically for this team as they get back to play under the international break?
That's what the Sounders needed, and I know we were talking during the game, Andrew, that the Sounders needed a goal to get back into this game, because for at least the first 40 minutes before Jimmy Medranda's absolute banger, they were not showing anything. I would say only maybe one play from a good recovery from Josh Atencio. Freddie crosses the ball and Christian Roldan shots and goes wide. But in general, Houston has played better soccer, and they really have a lot of space. To me, the Sounders they're not really pressuring in the middle. So that's why Houston Dynamo, they have that freedom and they have that transition like super smooth to go on top. But I think Jimmy Medranda's goal not only is a beautiful goal, but it takes the Sounders back to the game, and it's going to be a second half really different, a 2-1 versus a 2-0, right?
Let's take a look at some numbers worth knowing. Sounders with a slight edge in possession, 55.3%. They've outshot the Dynamo 7-3, but a 3-1 advantage in shots on goal for Houston. Diego, right? It's the age-old adage, it's whoever finishes their chances, not necessarily who creates more.
Yeah, talking about accuracy and finishing those plays, right? We know the Sounders historically have been good in being effective, but tonight's match, that's not the case. And I mean, just look at Houston with 2 beautiful goals.
Talking about set pieces, I mean, all 3 of Seattle's best chances have come from set pieces. There was that Montero corner kick that was headed over the bar in the 9th minute. Then you had Freddie Montero from just outside the penalty area, just past the half-hour mark, that he put it over the wall. But again, when you're 19 yards out and the wall's 10 yards away, it's tough to get up and down in that span. And then, of course, the goal coming on a second ball from a set piece. So it's clear that the Sounders can score when they get a chance to get their numbers all set up. But in open play, they've looked a little bit frustrated trying to get into that flow in the final third.
Yeah, I haven't seen that usual flow we see with the Sounders, right? Also in the transition, they've been a bit slow. Besides that play we just mentioned at the 10th minute, I think set pieces are going to be key, especially looking for Will Bruin. We haven't seen Will Bruin tonight, at least in the first 45 minutes. So that's going to be something that they need to get more balls into the box, but also open the game a bit more. And I think bringing the possession in the midfield, we need to see also Joao Paulo a bit more. He's also been, to me, a bit sluggish at times and slow, and giving a lot of space to the Houston Dynamo midfielders.
Well, let's take a quick look at some other scorelines from around Major League Soccer. New England has dropped points in the Supporters' Shield race. They finished with a 2-2 draw against Chicago. Orlando currently looks poised to take 3 points against FC Cincinnati. No real surprises there. Both Atlanta United and Toronto have had a man sent off. That's deep in second half stoppage time. Atlanta leads 1-0. And currently, Minnesota with an early lead over Austin, 1-0 in that contest as well. Also of note, Real Salt Lake in Colorado, who the Sounders will play on Wednesday at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, set to kick off pretty much right about now, Diego. So We'll have an update for you post-game on that one. Sounders FC Soccer is brought to you by Gallagher's Benefits and HR Consulting, helping businesses, communities, and people face their futures with confidence. Speaking of facing this second half with confidence, Brian Schmetzer did not seem too pleased with the performance there. Obviously, the goal from Medranda changes things, but what is he saying to the team in the locker room right now?
Well, yeah, he wasn't happy at all, and we all saw it and listened to it also. He was not happy because I think besides Jimmy Medranda's goal, overall the performance of the team hasn't been great, right? Just being honest, Houston, in general remarks, they dominated the first half. So I think there needs to be some change. We were talking about before the 2-1 goal, a potential change-up, maybe in the midfield or some offensive player. The new addition to the team, the Brazilian player Leo Chu, who is fresh, who can get more minutes with the team. I think that would be crucial to have him. But I think knowing Schmetzer, I think the goal changes things, that at least for the first few minutes we might not see changes. And then we could see Leo Chu, Benezet. Nicolas Benezet could be also a good addition in the midfield. And especially we'll see also which player, I don't know if Christian Roldan, even though, as we mentioned at the beginning of the pregame show, he didn't have a lot of minutes in the last game. The travel, some players are going to be tired for sure, so there's going to need to be some changes there.
Yeah, just to give you the full rundown, available outfield players for substitution: Nuhu, Alex Roldan, Danny Leyva, Ethan Doubelair, Nico Benezet, and Leo Chu. And, Diego, as you're thinking about the expanded substitution rules for this year and what you're not getting maybe out of the midfield right now, does that maybe make Schmetzer more inclined to make a change here right at the 45-minute mark, since it doesn't count against your substitution windows, just against your 5 overall available subs, to maybe shift things up and try to get a different look in this second half, because Urruti, Picot, and Quintero are causing problems.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think that would be also bring a new perspective to the game. And yeah, we haven't seen much in the midfield, just being honest, right, from the Sounders. And I think that could be, potential change to start the second half. And also, we'll see, remember, Darwin Quintero is not that young, right? So he's going to be tired in the second half. So you need to bring those fresh legs as well, can add some pressure too, recover the ball, and then use either Montero or Roldan and just feed the ball to Will Bruin in the transition.
Sounders fans, even the greatest athletes, make sure to take the time to catch up with their friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that joy is the whole game, not the end game. Michelob Ultra, it's only worth it if you enjoy it. Well, Diego, as you turn your attention to this second 45 minutes, Sounders trailing by a goal on the road. They've been a gritty team for years. Brian Schmetzer prides his teams on their ability to fight back against adverse circumstances. What's the biggest key for you in this second period?
The biggest key would be controlling the midfield a bit more. We haven't seen it, at least I haven't seen it in the first half, and there's been a lot of space that they're giving to Quintero, even Carrasqueña and Picot and Urruti to create a lot of problems. So I think they need to really close that center mid, and then use the players that you have in the wings for the transition. And I think the Sounders have proven that every time they play the transition and they have good results, and they have Will Bruin on top who's in perfect form to finish it.
Yeah, and for me, I think it's going to keep coming back to those set pieces. I mean, this team is so dangerous when they get them, and you've got guys who can put them away, guys like Montero.
You want to see Will Bruin score, huh?
I would like to see Will Bruin score.
Yeah.
I imagine that Will Bruin would like to see Will Bruin score, and I think we're going to see him definitely try to angle that direction. I also think it's going to be really important for the young guys coming off the bench, right? Alex Roldan and Nuhu played long minutes for their international sides while they were away in really high-stakes competitions. So even if you get all the recovery right, it's tough to come back all that travel. So you're looking at a Danny Leyva and an Ethan Doubelair who are going to have to come in and produce and stick their nose in there and probably win some challenges, because it's been a pretty physical game. Nima Sagafi is letting them play out there.
Yeah, and I think for the Sounders also, Andrew, I wouldn't say they don't have a pressure, but they're in a good position already. They already clinched the playoff spot. So now it's also the time before the playoffs to bring the youngsters and prove themselves, right? I know they've done it in the past, but this game is perfect, especially losing 2-1 in the halftime, bringing those fresh legs and see a different perspective from the team.
Yeah, well, the Sounders will definitely be looking to tighten things up at the back defensively. Just the second time this year they've allowed 2 goals in the first half of play. That other was in a 3-1 loss to Sporting Kansas City here at home back in July. It's only the 4th time this year they've allowed more than 1 goal. This defense does not concede very often, and I imagine that Brian Schmetzer is talking with his defensive unit right now, trying to make sure that everything is locked up nice and tight, because it just feels like one of those matches, Diego, where you give them another 45 minutes, you back them to score another goal. It's going to be a matter of not conceding, in my mind.
Yes, exactly. And I think, again, starting the second 45 minutes, it needs to change that, and also they need to bring up the pressure, right? And pressure high on the field, the Sounders, to recover the ball, and they want to look to score that tie goal, hopefully. For Houston, though, it's going to be a good opportunity, right, for Houston, because there's going to be some spaces left there, and they can also take advantage. And we saw Urruti is in great form today, huh? So hopefully he'll take advantage of that space.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a game that is populating many people's highlight reels. Urruti's goal was it's a free kick taken to the outside of his body. He's wide of the right post, and he just flings his foot at it, basically redirects it. There's nothing that Stefan Frei can do there. You can't be upset with him for conceding that goal. Maybe a little bit with the back line for the space that Urruti had to run into with that free kick taken from about 35 yards out. And then Madranda's just world class. It's the second time this year that he's got me completely out of my chair when he put his foot through the ball.
Well, he has a left foot, huh? He has a left hand when he shoots that ball. It goes quite fast. Something at least we cannot complain as fans is that we've seen pretty good goals overall. The 3 goals are having pretty quality goals. So
yeah, you heard Steve mention it in the broadcast there that for a neutral this is a great day out, and I think there might also be a chance for the Sounders to pull away here when you take a look at the benches for both these sides. You've got Maynor Figueroa available on the bench. Ariel Lassiter is a young forward, the son of Roy Lassiter, who came in and set a league record for goals scored in the first year of Major League Soccer back in '96 that stood for decades. But apart from that, you know, you look player for player, and you have to say the Sounders bench looks like they might be able to provide more contributors in this second period.
Yeah, for Houston, they have the best on the field, right? Except, you know, you mentioned this young Lassiter forward, but I think Houston has, and they're putting their best that they have, at least in the first 4 or 5 minutes. I do see the second half, Houston getting tired, and then the fresh legs from Sounders. That's when it's going to be the big change.
All right, well, Diego, very quickly, my last question for you. How important are the 3 points? Try to take them on the road tonight now with Colorado and Sporting Kansas City coming up this coming week.
It's really important. And also, if you even looking for that supporter shield, you know, New England tied, right? So it's a good opportunity. And even I would say, if I was Brian Schmetzer in that locker room, I would say, okay, guys, we need to come back to this game. We need those 3 points because, as you mentioned, we have 2 upcoming games that are really difficult. But also, if you want to be like top of the supporter shield, we have an opportunity.
Well, Sounders trail 2-1 at halftime. Let's send it back to Keith, Casey, and Steve for the second half here on SoundersFC.com and the Sounders FC app.
Just 5 victories on the season, but are unbeaten in the last 3 home matches and have shown very good fight going forward. Offered a threat on the counter-attack, and that set-piece goal from Maruti, this man lighting up the stadium in his second goal. But the Sounders getting right back in it with Jimmy Medranda's strike. Glad you're along with us tonight. Casey, back in the booth alongside us. What is your expectations for the Sounders here in this second 45? What do you want to see?
Well, I think you heard Coach Schmetzer talk about is getting a body around Quintero more and nullifying his ability as he drops in a little deeper to start that counterattack. And then it's just making sure that they stay patient up front. We didn't see as much of Will Bruin as we have in the last couple matches, so I expect more from him. I expect Freddie as well to help be more of a creator. And I think you talked about it a little bit too at the end of that first half. We saw a lot of Kellen Rowe in that first 10-15 minutes where he put in 3 or 4 crosses, and then he wasn't as effective as that half progressed. So I expect to see more of the wingbacks as well.
The second half kick is brought to you by Prime Video, the official video streaming partner of Sounders FC. The Sounders in that Jimi Hendrix inspired kit, attacking from left to right, Houston Dynamo in the orange. Scored a couple of goals against Sporting KC, but conceded 4. Scored 3 against FC Dallas and held on for a 3-2 win. So they've been involved in a couple of different shootouts recently. And they're coming forward here with Dorsey trying to get around Arriaga, who plays it calmly back to Stefan Fry. Tencio, Will Bruin. We heard Lamar Nagel talking about getting Will Bruin involved. A couple of touches for him here early on. Now the ball goes out wide for Fafa Pico. Steve, we talk about the mindset for the Sounders. What do you think the message would have been for Houston at halftime in that locker room from Tab Ramos?
Not to panic or overreact to that goal. The Sounders are a good team. If they score, you know, it's not the end of the world. And yes, 2-0 is better than 2-1. But to come out with the same mentality they had, I think for Houston, you're going against the Sounders, the best team in the West. They played well. They played well. They looked dangerous. They were willing runners in behind. Pico and Urruti. Quinteros looked better than he has for a long time, perhaps. So. And they kept the Sounders danger guys quiet. He couldn't ask for more than that, and don't overreact to the goal we conceded.
And it's going to be interesting. Obviously, we always say this, and again, the biggest cliche, next goal in the game will tell us the direction of this game. But if the Sounders were to score again to make it 2-2, I think most people would have the money on them going to get a victory. And again, this Houston side have shown fight recently for the manager. Pico being one of the main reasons why. Good pace from him. Gets beyond Shane O'Neill, off Arriaga. And Houston have won the early corner kick here to start the second half.
You talked about early in that first half that it was Quintero and it was Urruti on the score sheet. And obviously Pico's been the hot man, and he's going to continue to cause trouble. And there it was good individual effort to get into a position to put a dangerous ball in the box, and good positioning from Arriaga in the end just to shield this out for this corner.
Carrasquilla, a little bit too much on that one for Quintero. Quintero does keep it though. Dorsey, Karaskeia, lofted cross. Actually looked like it was going out of play initially, stayed in and right into the hands of Stefan Frei.
Yeah, in the end, it was just a really poorly worked corner. That Karaskeia just floats that ball up for Steph with catching practice.
Expected goals, a metric that we hear a lot of. Sounders actually leading in that category, 0.7 to 0.5, which basically tells you that Houston scored 2 goals that were top-level goals. Jimmy Medranda's right up there as well. I don't think I've convinced either of you two about expected goals. Touch comes on Shane O'Neill and out of play for a throw-in for Houston. Hatherby back for Valentin. Imagine Will Broom would like to get on that matchup a little bit more than he has so far.
Yeah, we were surprised seeing the lineup that Parker for Houston Dynamo was the right centre-back, and I know Zach Valentin many years, and he's a very good player, but not the most physical, and especially against Will Bruin. And the Sounders haven't quite exploited that matchup yet. Haven't seen the connection between Freddie Montero and Will Bruin that perhaps we would have liked.
And the Sounders not doing a very good job of clearing this one. Now they're going to win it. Now it's Christian Roldan, I think, taking a knock there as well. Mention on the bench, Nico Benazet, who's been in a good run of form recently. Nuhu, another one available off the bench. Obviously Christian Roldan taking that one in the face from Junqua. Quintero. Ryan Spencer singling him out in that half-time interview. Dorsey cross towards the far post, headed back across. Quintero off the woodwork. Dorsey with the rebound, and that one's deflected out. Well, he had his back to goal, Quintero, and almost produced another moment of absolute magic.
Yeah, and just this is how close it was to that 2-goal lead. Again, it's a pivoted side volley just around the corner. Steph has no idea where it's going, and very happy to see it crash off of his left-hand post and out. And then it almost fell to Dorsey, and as he hits it, he can't really direct it too hard, but this will be interesting to see if Hatterby can get up after this. He seemed to get, I don't know if he got kicked in the ankle or stepped on, but he was limping pretty seriously afterwards, and Tab's starting to mention over to some of the guys that are warming up as he expects Hatterby will have to come off.
And they have Minor Figueroa on the bench, the veteran defender. Certainly doesn't offer the pace in those wide areas that Hatterby does.
And for a side that's maybe been conceding a little too many goals, had a 2-goal lead, let that lapse. Yeah, looks like is Kellen kind of backed out of it just as the foot went through. Neither of them really committed, but just caught him. And then maybe he turns his ankle on the awkward landing as well, so.
They're still not feeling right. This looks like he's going to have to be replaced. Getting help from 2 trainers. Figueroa and Fuenmayor, the other defender on the bench for Houston. Well, there you go, Sounders fans. Seeing a little bit more easier after that Jimmy Medranda goal. Only nervy at the 2-0 scoreline early on. And we can confirm it will be Minor Figueroa coming on. I'm not going to say he's old, Casey, but I think he came up with you as a teenager.
He may have. Played against him in high school.
Minor Figueroa, the veteran at both club and international level. 38 years of age now. Spell in England with Wigan, Hull as well. Of course, Honduran national team too. Probably a blow defensively for Houston, though. See how the Sounders take advantage of it. Kellen Rowe, not a great delivery. Shane O'Neill winning it back. Vera. Pico. Valentine. That's not a great clearance from him, but Kellen Rowe can't keep it. Nice little flick, and Arriaga might get a card for this one. He was just beaten by Vera's piece of trickery.
Yeah, good little skill from Vera. Drops there. Lures Arriaga into the challenge, who's been a bit aggressive there. Clever little nutmeg. The drag back, easy yellow card decision for the referee.
Yeah, no player likes to have the ball put through the legs like that, and I think one of those fouls that allows the Sounders to regroup as well. Long distance from goal, perhaps the right decision there from Arriaga. João Paulo getting a little bit of space furthest forward. We've seen him so far. Tries that reverse ball to Will Bruin, good challenge. Figueroa just on the field, had to time that well, and he did.
I did not like the run from Freddie Montero there, because Will Bruin had made the run from left to right, and Freddie could have peeled out to give João Paulo two options. In the end, they ended up making the same run, and João Paulo really had no options, and he had to try and force that pass into where the defenders were.
Well, Bruin again, feeling a bit of contact from behind. Not having as much success tonight with his hold-up play. Houston having some success on the counter, trying for more here. Pico, Urruti continuing his run. Gets that little reverse ball back, and the challenge from Kellen Rowe points to the ball. I don't think there was any appeals from Houston players that it might have been a penalty, more so from the fans behind the goal.
Yeah, I think Kellen was really hoping that this challenge had come back off of Urruti and that it was a goal kick. And he might have a case for it, but in the end, it's pointed out wide. Houston with the opportunity to put some pressure on the Sounders defensively off this corner.
Quintero, the header, and it's off the woodwork again. Junqua on the turn, and just off the top of the crossbar and over.
Yeah, and this is just how close. We've seen it twice now. Quintero with the little side volley that went off the post. And that time, the delicate little header that just floats over Steph. Unfortunate enough, the width of the crossbar again coming to the rescue. Looked like Steph had it covered.
João Paulo, nice ball out wide for Shane O'Neill. Couldn't take the touch he wanted. And a position we're not really used to seeing him in. Good challenge again from Figueroa. Kellen Rowe, Christian Roldan just inside of him. Another player who I haven't seen that much of in this second half. Was a sub in that loss against Panama, but otherwise unused in the other two games for the US. So he'll want to prove a point to Greg Berhalter. Good challenge from Medranda, really good win back. João Paulo. Nice ball for Kellen Rowe. Christian Roldan now trying to go out wide. Instead, he's going to come back. João Paulo. Back for Kellen Rowe. And Figueroa gets down. More sustained pressure here from the Sounders. Sissoko, good bit of skill from him. Just wrong footing Urruti. Montero.
Yeah, but this is where it's gotten a little bit stagnant. Whether you don't see the runs, you know, how often have we seen in the past those probing runs from Will Bruin, opening up space, coming back, little combination plays. But when A.B. Sissoko got the ball after making that good play, he looks at Freddie Montero, and then everybody's stagnant, and there's just a really poor pass from Arriaga, just going out of bounds and taking any momentum the Sounders were building and just gifting possession straight back to Houston.
Yeah, just Freddie Montero, Christian Roldan players, Will Bruin. Just players that haven't fired so far. And it takes a 10 or 15 minute spell for the Sounders to really turn this game on its head. But so far, no fireworks in the second half.
And if anything, if it's Houston who've looked the most likely, they've hit the woodwork twice. Quintero with the acrobatic effort, and then the header off the corner kick as well. And I think that for the Sounders there, it's just maybe one of those cases where you're asking for 5-10% more. I think the spaces are there, the chances will be there. It's just, as Casey mentioned, a little bit stagnant for the man in possession. Looks ahead the field, the movement isn't quite there, the running isn't quite there, and that's something the Dynamo have done well. The player in possession has options close, but then also Urruti, Pico making tons of running in behind, and that's really allowing them to expand their game and open up, just like this.
Yeah, nice ball this time for Will Bruin, going out wide, gets his cross in, shot on target from Montero, save from Nelson, might be his first save of the match, but that was much better from Seattle.
Well, it all starts, Keith, with that willingness to run in and peel around the corner, and Will Bruin does a great job of just sliding around, looking for the space to open, spins around, and then good pass centrally. Freddie does a great job of just wrong-footing Tim Parker and getting a shot on. Unfortunately for the Sounders, that shot is directly at Michael Nelson, who then cleans up at the second attempt, but starts with the good run from Will Bruin, found from the pass, and then a good composed cross, and unfortunately Freddie just can't complete the play.
Ariaga with the header forward. Little flick from Christian Roldan. Freddie Montero can't get there. Parker goes down. I think this will be a free kick, or would have been a free kick. Dorsey, advantage played and advantage taken. Houston gone forward. Quintero, his cross is denied, but they have another corner kick. We're catching glimpses of vintage Darwin Quintero tonight.
Yeah, he's been very good, and I think that goal, not just that it was a goal, the type of goal it was, it's given him a world of confidence, and it's not good news for the Sounders to have that kind of player feeling himself, but he's been everywhere tonight.
He's on this corner kick, delivered in, and it's fallen here. Chance to go for Dorsey. Second attempt, it's off the woodwork again. Another cross in, and Ariaga. Well, the Sounders are living on the edge of the look right now, but they're going the other way. Madranda, and he might be 1v1 here. Still Madranda, still Jimmy Madranda, and that's good defending. Atencio following up. They were so open at the back, Houston. Kellen Rowe, again, he just can't get by Junquo. He's done a good job defensively, and to add to it, he's knocked that one off, Kellen Rowe, for the goal kick. But what a sequence that was.
Yeah, but Valentin was so far back, it looked like there was nobody there. And so originally it falls, good block, falls back to Dorsey. Dorsey at the second attempt off the post for the third time for the Houston Dynamo, and then on that counterattack, it was like, I couldn't believe the space that Valentin gave him, but he slowed it down, and eventually it was too heavy of a touch for Jimmy Madranda, and they were able to clear the danger.
Darwin Seren is about to come on. Midfield option. And the Sounders trying to break forward. No free kick given as Montero went down. And the Sounders win it back. That's better from Christian Roldan. João Paulo.
Yeah, it's just gotten a little bit sloppy from both sides at the moment.
Yeah, there's Urruti. I think, Steve, you alluded to this, his work rate, his ability and willingness to get back in and help defensively. Got Houston out of a jam there, but yeah, Casey, it's been very sloppy over the last couple of minutes. Won't play it forward for Urruti. On the turn, Ariaga reads it.
Yeah, Urruti going for the no-look reverse pass to Trim, but then a really poor pass out. But then luckily, Kellen Rowe was alert to it and was able to, you know, take it off the foot of Junquo, who had read the initial pass well.
Christian Roldan. Well, Montero will do well to get to it. He doesn't. It was behind him. It was struck so hard that it just picked up speed on the surface. Let's see who Darwin Seren is about to replace for Houston. Comes on in the middle of midfield for Adalberto Carrasquilla. He's a player who likes to get on the ball, but Seren perhaps offers a little bit more defensively. We're hearing that Nico Benezet is going to come on. There we go. But AB Sissoko, so perhaps we're seeing a change in system here as well.
Yeah, you'd assume they'll slide into a back four, but
we have seen Atencio go back there as well, so
sure.
Yep.
I'd be surprised if you're looking now in the 62nd minute to get a goal and then possibly a second to take the lead. You're probably not going to go in that defensive option. You're going to try to be more offensive minded and get numbers in the attack.
And the ball played in. Benezet immediately involved, pulls that one back. And Christian Roldan well positioned and frustrated with himself. It's blasted well over, but that would have been the most instant of impacts for Benezet.
What a chance. Initially, I thought Benezet could have taken it himself, but actually does the right thing to just set up Christian Roldan and gets completely way too much underneath it. And for a player of his quality in his form, that's the kind of chance you dream of getting in a game, and Christian Roldan gets his angles all the way wrong on that occasion.
Yeah, I'm with you, Steve. I originally thought that Benezet could have just brought that down and taken the run himself. And look, he does a great job of dropping it off to Roldan, and we know he's on a good goal-scoring form for the Sounders, but that one he got wrong, unfortunately.
Good challenge from Shane O'Neill to win that one back. Pico's dead down and is in some pain right now. Play continues. First with the Sounders, now in Houston, edge of the penalty area. Atencio back, and that one will go out of play for the goal kick. And now Pico seems like he's a little bit better, but still on the ground. Oh, what a challenge.
Excellent challenge from Shane, but then you see how the rest of his body then rolls up the back of the leg of Pico, but it was a super clean challenge from Shane O'Neill, and Pico looks to be okay.
Well, you can download the McDonald's app today and get your game day favorites delivered with McDelivery. Fafa Pico really is a threat on the counter-attack, and if the Sounders keep pushing, he'll be one to watch. Nice bit of movement from Quintero again.
Yeah, if the Sounders are able to find that equalizer, you can only imagine the frustration with Houston having hit the woodwork 3 times in this half so far in this 20 minutes. So, but that's sometimes difference between being at the top of the table and the bottom of the table is creating your own bit of luck. Sounders maybe find themselves a little bit fortunate only being a goal down, but something that they've prided themselves on is how well they've defended this year, staying themselves in matches, finding late goals, subs coming on, making an impact.
And they're trying to play that ball forward here, but too easily intercepted. And again, the space on the counter. Atencio has dropped back in almost on that left side, but Fafa Pico going at the Sounders back line. Seren. Quintero, and that one runs through.
Yeah, it was a tough ask for Fafa Pico to 2v1. Good work from Kellen Rowe, just tracking back strong enough to not make it easy, and then as he comes inside,
and yet again, the Sounders are giving it away. That's all too often tonight. Pico, nice little ball, Arruti on the turn, off the woodwork again, the 4th time Houston have been denied by either the crossbar or the post.
Well, I'm not sure who, but someone wants the Sounders to win this game because...
A long ball over the top, Christian Roldan. And Figueroa well positioned defensively. He's done well since coming on.
Ruti, Pico, they work this so well. The overlap is perfect. The weight of pass opens his body. He does everything right.
He was celebrating.
Everything right. He wheels away.
He was already running toward midfield.
4 times in 20 minutes they've hit the woodwork. It's astonishing.
Well, Tab Ramos must be wondering. It's been one of those seasons for him and the club. They're coming forward again here. Dorsey. I always say the best sides have all of the skill, the ability to fight, and a nice slice of luck as well. That's what the Sounders have had to be still in this one. Junqua. Pico gets around Kellen Rowe, pulled him down.
That's how you stop him. 2-3 times in a row when Fafapico's gotten the ball. There's only one thing on his mind. I'm going to take on whoever's in front of me. It was a nice little turn around Kellen Rowe. Kellen makes that challenge, hoping to win the ball, doesn't, brings down Pico, clear foul.
Coming up on 68 minutes in. Still 2-1, all of the goals coming in the first half.
How?
Yeah.
How has there been no more goals in this second half?
The woodwork, Casey, is
Yes.
the answer. Well, the Sounders have had games as well in the past where they've had more of the chances, more of the possession, and not been able to turn it into results. So they'll feel maybe a slice of luck was due.
Yeah, but how often is it a challenge or a goalkeeping save, not the woodwork over and over and over again?
Yeah, the game against Portland is one that springs to mind, the home matchup. And the Sounders hit the woodwork themselves a couple of times.
Yeah, but even the away matchup is just one of those games where you just score, 3 goals of the year in the same game. And, we talk about that first half down in Portland where maybe the Sounders rode their luck a bit just for the second half to just everything that could go right did.
Yeah, sometimes they all go in, sometimes none of them go in. Ball back with Valentin. Looks like he's gone to the right side now.
Remember what I said in the first half when you top that clearance up the middle and you're happy that it just happens to fall for your midfielder?
Maruti, Arriaga goes across and wins it. Sounders still playing without Raul Ruidiaz, who re-aggravated that injury on international duty with Peru, of course. A big piece of the attack. 16-goal top scorer. Brad Smith, another one working his way back as well. Leo Chu, I guess, would be the other attacking option on the bench. Man who scored last week. Ball played over the top for Will Bruin. Kellen Rowe. João Paulo.
That's well marked by Tim Parker that time, just sliding across. And, Parker, a player that, had a time with the national team. Didn't quite work out, but still can be formidable.
He's had a good game today, and yeah, as I thought, he has gone back into that centre of the centre-backs roles. Christian Roldan took a knock there as that ball was there to be won.
Yeah, it was almost just 2 guys going for the same ball, and sometimes in that legs dangling, he seems to be in a lot of pain.
He's not happy with the challenge. He's having a word with the referee here as well. Nima Sagafi. The ball had just gone, hadn't it, and the foot was continuing through. I don't think any malice in it. Nuhu and Leo Chu are both coming on. Wonder if, am I going to say that not worth risking Christian Roldan here laid on. Just again back from international duty, sometimes that can affect the players' rhythm in the lead up to a game. And all said and done, it ends up with Michael Nelson
That's an interesting ball.
Yeah. And Christian Roldan coming back in, and Tab Ramos, I'm not quite sure who he's more furious with, the goalkeeper or the officials for allowing it.
Probably a combination of both. But got away with it just.
That would have been peak Houston Dynamo this season if Christian Roldan had got that one
would
and
have
scored.
been, you hit the post and crossbar 4 times, and then you can see the equalizer on that.
Dorsey gives it away. Good read from Atencio.
I mean, this is what we were talking about earlier. Look how slow it was, the development. I mean, that's a great pickoff in a good central location to really hit a team hard. And then it's just too slow in finding that pass. The movement's right off, the recognition of the cross or the next pass is a little off. You know, it's frustrating.
The Sounders really haven't done enough, have they, to challenge Michael Nelson or test the goalkeeper? Not yet, anyway. Still time. Coming up on 73 minutes in. Medranda. 2 subs awaiting their entrance. Medranda tries to get that cross in, and again Parker's there.
Yeah, but again, let's look at that cross and let's look at the runs in the box. You know, the cross is too low, doesn't elude the first man, but then at the same time, can you put a player in front of Parker? Can you try to move him out of that position? And again, it's been a little stagnant up front.
On tonight's match is presented by Fred Meyer. Fresh for everyone. Leo Chu is going to come on for Freddie Montero. He's had a couple of substitute appearances, got his first goal. Well, these are big minutes here. A chance for him to stake a claim heading into the business end of the season. And the other man coming on is going to be Nuhu, and he's going to go to that left wing back role for Jimmy Medranda. And what a time this would be for Nuhu to get his first goal. The Sounders have a free kick. Nuhu did play in those 2 matches for Cameroon against Mozambique, both victories, 90 minutes in both, when you consider some of the talent they have at their disposal. Big minutes there for Nuhu. Another free kick for João Paulo. Delivery hasn't been at its best today. This one cleared. Nuhu. Leo Chu on the turn. Good skill from him to create a yard of space. Gets his cross in as well. That wasn't bad playing from the Brazilian. Kellen Rowe. Benazet. Atencio. Again, the Sounders being forced back, even with the possession, not really creating that much with it, Steve. Might change here, though. Good run inside. Benazet, this one might fall out to that left-hand side. Effort on target from Leo Chu, and the save from Nelson. So that was better play.
It was better. Benazet's made a difference. He's made a difference because he's coming with high energy. He's running off the ball. He's driving at the back line. It's a very, very good run. Does well to find Leo Chu here, who you're taught to go across the goalkeeper there, but gets enough on it that he still wins a corner kick from the Sounders, and it's been a good 5 minutes for the Sounders, and it's just a bit more urgency in that play, and that's coincided with the energy and urgency, and it's just running. It's hard running from Benazet.
Yeah, and then there's the frustration that they felt that it probably should have come back and admit a free kick from the top of the box on the foul on Benazet.
Whipped in delivery towards the near post. Who did that one come off last? It's going to be another Sounders set-piece attempt. Haven't looked to change the ideas here. No short routines, all deliveries in from João Paulo. This one whipped in and again well dealt with defensively. Nuhu, long way out, tries to play it across for Kellen Rowe, back inside, and that was a difficult one for Kellen Rowe. I don't think he was expecting that ball to come to him. And it's how to play for the goal kick. And Joe Corona is going to come on here. Another central midfielder. He's going to replace Griffin Dorsey, so this maybe is a change in formation. Joe Corona, who spent a long period with Cholos in Liga MX. A couple of seasons with LA Galaxy as well. It's actually not sure if it is for Ruti or Ruti's coming off as well. And there's that finish. What a strike it was. Tyler Pasher is coming on as well. So a couple of changes for Houston.
Yeah, and right away it looks like Pico's gone to the right, and it is Tom Ramos sort of thinking of a way to maybe neutralize Nuhu from going forward by having him have to deal with Pico. That's a smart move there to do as well. And Urruti, I mean, he had a fantastic game today. Not just the goal, it was his running, his movement, his link-up play with his other two forward partners. He put in a big-time performance.
And Quintero looks like he's almost in that 9 role as well, so just keeping a game changer on the field.
Yeah, or someone who won't defend, keep him high.
That too, yes.
We have different ways of saying that nowadays, yeah. Did you know Casey has a career assist against Houston Dynamo?
I did know, I was in that game.
Oh, what a tackle that is. So late on Benezet. And pointing to the ball is Figueroa, but that was, well, nasty. It's going to be a free kick in a good position when all is said and done. Perhaps you can tell us about the assist rather than Casey, because I think he might embellish it a little bit.
To be fair, it was a... That's a deserved yellow card. Let's start there. I believe it was to Freddie Montero, and he pinged it right to Freddie's chest against the Dynamo. Freddie rolled the defender and scored a great goal. Again, whether Casey meant to pick out Freddie, you can ask him, but it was a great pass. And that's a hefty challenge. I don't know why Figueroa pointed to the board. I mean, we can all see where the ball went. It had nothing to do with you.
I think Figueroa thought he was 28 instead of 38 when he tried to originally go for that ball, and clearly a step behind.
Defending 101. When you foul somebody, point to the ball and run away.
Yeah.
Almost worked.
No, not so much, I don't think.
Casey, did you mean that assist to Freddie Montero?
No,
Yeah.
Freddie was always a great outlet in those early years, and we looked at it multiple times to see if we could switch the play. I mean, obviously scoring a goal is the bonus, but more or less what you're really trying to do is just keep teams honest from time to time to hitting that quick ball out.
João Paulo trying to keep Houston honest defensively here. It's a free kick in a really good position. Chance for that outswinging right for the delivery as we're about 15 seconds away from 80 minutes, and João Paulo frustrated. The referee continues to blow the whistle and not happy with some of the contact he's seen inside the area. João Paulo's delivery now comes in, and yeah, of course, a whistle, and it's going to be a free kick. And now here's a message from Prime Video. New movies and series, including Amazon Originals, are streaming on Prime Video. Watch now. Nelson clearing the danger. One save from Leo Chu at that near post. Beyond that, Sounders more possession, but have been unable to turn it into big goal-scoring opportunities. Houston have struck the woodwork 4 times in the second half. Continue to lead by 2-1. Jordan Morris, we've watched all week his videos as he nears a return. Not in the squad today, but getting ever closer to a return. And who's this free kick going to go to? It's going to be a free kick for Houston. Fafa Pico going down, knew who was involved.
Yeah, it's a big body. He's got to go around. He flicks it around him, gets away with a little pull on the shirt, and then Nuhu, unfortunately, as he comes around trying to recover, I think the follow-through, and I think it was a knee that may have caught just Pico in the head as they both stumbled to the turf.
Yeah, I think Nuhu's argument there would have been that the first foul was by Fafa Pico.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Keith. I think he just had a handful of shirt to try to drag around him. But he must have hit it just enough. But then here's the follow through, and watch the knee coming through. Just catches him on the back of the head. And then I think the leg rolls down on top of him as well, just for good measure.
And among the wars today, Fafa Pico's on the receiving end of a good challenge by Shane O'Neill as well, but it did almost injure his leg. But now the set piece is taken out on the left foot and well deflected. It's still in there for Quintero. Another ball. And Pasha was the man, the substitute, who made contact. Been watching Jimmy Medranda videos as we take a look at tonight's match timeline presented by Wallfed Bank. A couple of goals inside the first 20 for Houston. Medranda getting the Sounders back in it, but second half, the best chances, Steve, have been going Houston's way.
Yes, without question. And you mentioned moments ago Jordan Morrison. I think this is the kind of game where he's going to make a very big difference. Fresh legs coming on at this time of the game. You're chasing. The opponent's a little bit tired. He can't come back soon enough, is what I'll say.
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. I think that you've hit it perfectly when you know that coming back from that long-term injury, you don't expect big minutes, but in opportunities like this, that's where that pace of Jordan is just uncoachable, and to be able to come in and really scare a defense.
Callum Rowe going towards the near post. Atencio, now Callum will have a chance to deliver a cross, whipped in. Nelson under it and handles it.
Yeah,
too close to the goalkeeper.
Yeah, it is. It was a shame. You know, it was a second opportunity. You know, we talked about that in the first 10, 15 minutes where the Sounders did a good job of pinning Houston in their own half and getting 2-3 opportunities in a play. That was a great chance where defensively they did well of just pinning Houston in. And then unfortunately, the quality of the cross just relieved any kind of pressure.
Benazet. Nice ball inside. Nice turn away from Christian Roldan. Leo Chu trying to stay on that left-hand side. Nuhu making the underlapping run. Leo Chu still has it. Still has it inside the air, trying to go by a second defender. Being very direct with his play and getting the ball back for Nuhu. The cross comes in. That one cleared. Different approach there from Leo Chu, almost getting through.
No, I like that from Leo Chu. I was also happy to see that Nuhu didn't run another defender right into the air. He slowed up at the end, and you know, it's something that was important because I think Leo Chu is a player.
Ball played in from Gianpaolo. Christian Roldan attacking it.
You know, Leo is a player that can beat a guy one-on-one, and so yeah, don't bring an extra defender into the equation.
Benazet. Another cross towards the far post, and again that one too close to Nelson, who catches it and then brings it over the head of Chu to make the run centrally.
Yeah, unfortunate again. Just the quality of cross here in the last few minutes hasn't been what it's needed to be, and Nelson's been able to come out and comfortably make these couple catches to relieve the pressure.
We've arguably seen less of Houston in terms of trying to counter-attack now. They're going to try hold on to what they have. Hasn't made it easy for the Sounders to break through or get behind that defensive line. Valentin will be on this throw-in. Nuhu. Nuhu does well. Lets it run out of play for the goal kick, but time not on the side of the Sounders now, as Fry urging the team to get forward as he takes this one quickly. Arriaga. Callum Rowe, two further forward on this right-hand side. Atencio, and they both made the run forward, then came back, and by that stage Atencio played it long.
Yeah, but once that ball is always straight and inside the 18-yard box, always going to be the goalkeepers. But yeah, the idea was right, I think, from the pass originally, but just two players just making the same run.
Another big one coming up against Colorado Rapids in midweek. The Sounders are hoping to go in on a winning run. Instead, they're on the back footer again. Fafa Pico in behind, pulls it back, and Atencio well positioned. Now the flag does go up. So that wouldn't have counted.
Or at least it would have gone to replay to have a look. But yeah, it was. And that's, you know, again, we know this now. We know this in the age of VAR, that you wait to see to make sure. Yeah, that would have been pretty tight.
Yeah,
they would have got the slide rule out to make sure that it was offside.
Alex Roldan is going to come on for the last couple of minutes in place of Shane O'Neill. Perhaps just freeze Kellen Rowe to go a little bit more central. Here, Brian Spencer barking out instructions towards Kellen Rowe. We've seen Sounders so many times produce late moments of magic, getting something from nothing. They haven't been at their best tonight. But they're only one goal away from getting a point. Benezet. Kellen Rowe back for João Paulo. Atencio. Lovely flick from Christian Roldan, but Parker was well positioned. João Paulo has it again. Everybody, every outfield player in the Houston half of the field. Atencio.
Yeah, but that's where at times when you have that space, you got the big body of Will Bruin. Look to play that ball long up into that area, and that time just gave him too much. And that's why you got to play it up to Will Bruin's head. Look, I know Tim Parker's a strong player in the air, but then you just play it off that just in front of Will Bruin, let him run, flick stuff on, redirect stuff. You've got a lot of bodies pushed up looking to win the second ball, and then you just smash a ball out of bounds for a goal kick.
That wasn't the ball Will Bruin wanted. Hasn't been, yeah.
No.
Nelson taking his time over this one. A little under 90 seconds plus stoppage time left for the Sounders to salvage something on the road here. They've been so good on the travels this season. 9 victories in the previous 13 matches, just 2 defeats. But they are staring another defeat right down the barrel right now. Atencio. This time he is on point with the pass to Leo Chu. Leo Chu getting it on his left foot, and that cross didn't come off anybody. Out of play, and it's going to be a goal kick.
Oof. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a great switching ball out to Chu. Does a good job of creating the space, and then not for the first time today. Not just to pick on Leo Chu, but I think the overall Sounders will be disappointed with the quality of the service into the box off a crossing throughout the match. You know, you got the big body of Will Bruin up there, and you just haven't been able to execute.
João Paulo towards Leo Chu. Mariaga. It's been pretty much every aspect of the Sounders attack-wise, even the set pieces today, just haven't been at the level we're so used to seeing.
Correct. And that's frustrating because it's hard enough, right, to score goals in the best of times. And then when your service into the box isn't consistent enough, it's just that much more difficult.
Well, the extra mile stoppage time is going to be 5 minutes. So the Sounders still have time. João Paulo, a little flick further forward. Will Bruin on the turn. Nuhu, not the greatest of passes, and then a little bit of skill from Quintero. There might have been a nutmeg involved as well. Nuhu.
I still wouldn't put it past the Sounders finding an equalizer.
We've gone into games in stoppage time and come away with a win at this stage.
Definitely, definitely. Let's start with the equalizer.
Yes, definitely too. Kellen Rowe, that cross is deflected. A little bit more space for Chu on this side. Tries to pull it back. And that one right into the path of a Houston midfielder. And now the break is on the other way. Pico up against Nuhu. Battle of 2 pacey players. Nuhu just about won it.
Yeah. For the Sounders, Steve, I think they're very happy it was that foot race was with Nuhu.
Kellen Rowe. And again, that final ball just not there. João Paulo, Will Bruin, Christian Roldan. He goes down. Is that going to be a free kick? It is, in a very good position. Well, last time it was Montero. This one, a couple of yards out, and it's a frustrated-looking Tab Ramos. He's been here before this season.
Well, but it's also Houston creating their own problems, trying to pass out of the back at this stage, and Arriaga does a good job, and also Josh Atencio, and just pushing that line higher, heading balls back into the area, and then another late lunging challenge from Minor Figueroa, bringing down Christian Roldan, and opportunity from the set piece to scrap a point out of this match.
You always wait for that one opportunity, that big chance. This may be it.
Yeah, and I like this distance, right? I mean, it's not so close that you're worried about getting it up and down the wall, but it's not so far away that you got to hit the spectacular strike. I think this is kind of in the perfect range.
Knew who was over it for a moment, but
no, he wasn't.
Just for a second.
No,
I caught myself there.
So, yeah, okay, I'm not even, no.
Now he's gone to create a one-man wall barrier, perhaps to make it more difficult for Nelson to read. João Paulo is over it. He's the only man over it. He'll be taking this one. Can he get it on target? Can he get Sounders level? João Paulo on the free kick. It's off the woodwork. It's come down Nuhu with the header, and it's cleared. That's how close the Sounders were to getting a level in goal. Super free kick. Keeper was beaten. But perhaps Houston have earned that little bit of luck in terms of the woodwork in the second half.
4-1 on the woodwork. But yeah, that's, as you said, Keith, just absolutely probably an inch away, an inch lower, and that goes in off the crossbar as opposed to going down and popping back up.
And it's going to be a free kick the other way against João Paulo. Oh, wow, what a moment. Free kick.
Oh, he hits it so well, and Nuhu's the first to the rebound, and it's just too high for him. João Paulo, you can't do much better than that. Goalkeeper's beaten. Hits the crossbar, just not enough on the underside to bounce over the line. And I really felt Nuhu would get his chance there.
And he knew what he was doing. He spun out.
Yeah.
Offensive rebounding. So close. There's going to be a yellow card as well issued for João Paulo. That brings him just one away from another suspension. And we're now well into the final minute of stoppage time, and Houston is going to launch this one forward. They've given it right back to the Sounders.
That was a fortunate touch.
Slice of luck. And now Will Bruin up against Parker. Parker wins that battle. Back to Nelson. And Nelson, well, skews that one out of play. So maybe one last chance to get a throw into the box here. Alex Roldan over it. He's taking his time here, Alex Roldan, now in towards that near post area. Benazet, and instead it's going to be Quintero. And again, another ball launched forward. Stefan Fry, can he get this one forward in time? And again, well defended. They have defended everything aerially so well today, Houston. And that will be the final action. So that 2-goal deficit early on, too much to come back in. Tab Ramos, a smile and perhaps a sigh of relief as well. But guys, overall, a difficult day for the Sounders. The final score here, Houston 2, Seattle Sounders 1.
Yeah, real tough day, Keith. I mean, it just wasn't a typical Sounders performance. And in the end, they hung on. You know, they gave themselves a lifeline before halftime. And then that second half, we didn't see what we usually see, is that then just pin Houston in the half, create chance after chance. And in the end, it was Houston that really were pretty unfortunate. Maybe not to pad their lead, and that's kind of what Precky's saying to Tab, is how do you hit the post 4 times? But then how close it was. And that's what happens. When you stay in games, you give yourself opportunities. Christian Roldan wins the set piece. João Paulo, inch away from finding an equalizer late.
Well, the play of the match is presented by Emerald Queen Casino, the betting capital of the Northwest. Steve, it's the Madranda goal, and at this stage, super strike. We thought the Sounders were back in it.
Yeah, and they were, because it's the first touch here. That's a fantastic touch. The cushion on that, and then he just absolutely ruthlessly strikes through that ball. It was a moment that gave hope and belief. In the end, it wasn't enough, but Jimmy Madranda adding to his very impressive highlight reel.
Well, the goal wasn't enough, and ultimately, just for the 3rd time this season on the travels, the Sounders have fallen to defeat. The final score, Houston 2, Seattle Sounders 1. We're going to take a short break, but make sure you stay with us when we return. We're going to recap all of the action, get you reaction from pitchside as well. The Sounders falling to defeat in Houston tonight.
And for our streaming listeners here on SoundersFC.com and the Sounders FC app, your Sounders FC post-match show starts right now. I'm your studio host, Andrew Harvey, and I'm joined alongside Diego Arioja. And you are listening to the Sounders FC post-match show following tonight's 2-1 loss to Houston Dynamo FC on the road. Diego, Casey said it right there, an inch away the Sounders were. Battled, struggled, fought, and in the end, late free kick off the crossbar, and it is 3 points for Houston at home, nothing for the Sounders on the road.
Yeah, they were so close at the end with that opportunity, with that set piece. Joao Paulo just hits perfectly, and unfortunately inches away from that goal to tie the game. But I think overall the Houston Dynamo, I'm surprised with the level of play they brought today. Tab Ramos definitely did something and talked to his players during the FIFA long break, and you would see it on the field. And on the other hand, the Sounders, they were a really, I would say, one of the worst performances in the first 45 minutes that I've seen in this season, because they were stagnant, they were not moving the ball, they were not pressuring when they needed to. The second half was different. The Sounders looked a little bit more than what we're used to, and a good team, but at the end they just couldn't close the gap, and those balls into the box were not accurate, right? And only that set piece at the end was the closest to tie the game.
Well, Sounders FC Soccer is brought to you by Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone. Diego, you kind of alluded to it there. Sounders have an opportunity to go off the crossbar, but I mean, 4 times Houston Dynamo rattles the woodwork there in the second half, so maybe a 2-1 scoreline. A favorable representation of how this match played out. It did not feel in the second 45 minutes like the Sounders were ever out of this match.
No, that's true. They were always into the game, especially after the Jimmy Medranda's goal, and we mentioned it during our halftime show, that the Sounders would have an opportunity, right? And they came into the second half at the beginning with no changes. Brian Schmetzer surely talked to his players, and they look different, right? They look poised and really fighting those balls. But I would say Houston Dynamo, you said those 4 opportunities that hit the post, they were dangerous on top. On the other hand, the Sounders were not, right? And even though they were creating more plays and had more ball possession, Houston, every time they were attacking, it was a goal opportunity for them.
Well, time now to go over our discussion of our Emerald Queen Casino play of the match. There can only be one moment. Diego, it is that goal from Jimmy Medranda, 41 minutes in, breathed life into this team. A lovely touch on the second ball and just puts his foot through it, sends it through 4 players and past the keeper, Nelson. In the end, not enough, but a strike that built confidence and like we mentioned, kind of gave the Sounders a new life in this game after a disappointing first 40 minutes.
Yeah, that changed the game for the Sounders completely, and I agree that that's a play that changed the rest of the game. Also, in a moment in the match that the Sounders were not really doing a lot, right? They just had that corner and then that deflection, and fortunately Jimmy Medranda just scores that magnificent goal. And that, I think, changed everything for the second half, but still wasn't enough. I think Brian Schmetzer is going to talk to his players after the game, and a lot to work on, especially towards the end of the regular season. You cannot lose points, even though if it's away, and especially against Houston. That's a team that before this game only had 5 wins overall.
Well, Sounders fans, Sound Transit would like to remind everyone to obey all signs and signals when around train tracks. Light rail trains are quiet and come in both directions, so stay aware and play it safe. Brian Schmetzer did not play it safe with his subs here in the second half. Leo Chu, Nico Benezet both came on. Benezet provided a lot on that right wing. Leo Chu had a couple of opportunities, but in the end, the crosses just weren't connecting inside the penalty area.
Yeah, I think Benezet coming in was definitely a breath of fresh air. Was really good, fresh legs. Also, you could see, every time he grabbed the ball, he wanted to go in front. You see that intensity, and there was already a lot of space Houston left in the midfield, so he was able to just, in the transition, create dangerous plays. But I think, yeah, that last pass was missing, right? It wasn't clicking tonight. So, but still, good performance from Benezet. Even, I would say, Leo Chu had a few opportunities, one-on-ones that he won, and then the last decision wasn't the best, but it was good to see him on the field as well to get some minutes and get used to the team more.
Sounders FC Soccer is brought to you by Body Armor, the official sports drink of your Seattle Sounders, with potassium-packed electrolytes, antioxidants, and no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. Body Armor has the hydration you need. Well, Diego, you know, we talked about the subs, we talked about the balls rattling off the woodwork, and it's interesting that we're having this conversation that the Sounders disappointed and frustrated to not even take a point on the road when we know well that Major League Soccer has been quantifiably proven as the toughest road league in the world. So what does it kind of say about the Sounders, despite the result tonight where the performance in the first half was not good enough and the connections in the second half weren't able to make anything happen? This team still has so much potential and has a lot further still that they're going to go.
Oh, completely. I think this team has showed how, good results, 9 away wins this season just shows that this team really, when they play away, they go and put their own game, right? It's not that they're just sitting in the back and waiting for the home team to mandate the game. I think the Sounders, they still have those 5 games left during the season, but also Brian Schmetzer knows how to play this type of playoffs, and he has a lot of he has it's still time to make some adjustments. And I think for the remainder of the games, the playoff spot is already clinched. So I think these 5 games left, it's a good opportunity to also bring some of those the fresh blood into the team and make sure that when the time comes, they can step in if something happens that you never know, right? There's an injury from one of the crucial players, then somebody else is already there to step up and understands the system and can play jointly with the team.
Well, we're just about set to turn our attention to this Colorado match coming up on the weekend. But before we do, we cannot leave this match without acknowledging how close Seattle was in the 90-plus third minute when that Joao Paulo free kick came off the crossbar. Here's another listen into the call from Keith Costigan.
Can he get it on target? Can he get Sounders level? Joao Paulo on the free kick. It's off the woodwork. It's come down Nuhu with the header, and it's cleared. That's how close the Sounders were to getting a leveling goal.
And I mean, Casey Keller said it after that. An inch away. That ball's an inch lower. It is a heartbreaking result, and one that the Sounders now are going to have to move on quickly, but they will have another bite at trying to get that 10th road win. This Wednesday, October 20th, the Rave Green continue their road trip with a 6 p.m. match against the Colorado Rapids. Don't miss any of the action in this key contest for Western Conference positioning. Watch the match on Fox 13 Plus, stream on Prime Video, or listen on 1090 KJR AM and El Rey 1360 AM in Spanish. Wednesday's broadcast is presented by Virginia Mason Franciscan Health. Reward a community hero with a VIP matchday experience by submitting a nomination at soundersfc.com/communityheroes. Fox 13 Plus, by the way, is your local television home for Sounders FC Soccer. Catch all of the Rave Green's local TV broadcasts on the same channel number, now with a new name, Fox 13 Plus, Cable 10, Channel 22. Well, as we turn our attention now to this Colorado Rapids match coming up on Wednesday, right now the Rapids are engaged in a match against Real Salt Lake, still losing 1-0, which behooves the Sounders as they don't currently stand to gain any ground on them. Sporting Kansas City in second place play Vancouver tomorrow at 7 p.m. But the Rapids, really good team this year, and we all know Dick's Sporting Goods Park, difficult place to play, Diego.
It's difficult, and the Rapids have showed how, it's one of those teams that are surprising this season, right? We didn't count them before the start of this 2021 season, and they've been really good, especially at home. As you mentioned, right now they're losing at halftime, but still the Colorado Rapids can definitely be a tough game for Sounders. I was thinking also, if they manage to lose today, the Rapids are gonna be, they're gonna need the points. So there's gonna be also a difficult game for the Sounders this upcoming Wednesday. And the difference right now, live standings, is 6 points. Seattle with 57, and then Kansas City 52, and Colorado right there, right? It's 51. So it's gonna be a tough match.
How do you factor in the fact that this Sounders side beat Colorado 3-0 back at the start of this month, just October 3rd, so 17 days between those two matches, but in that time you've had an international break, now it's in their home, and Sounders will be coming off this frustrating result tonight on the road.
Yeah, I think that game that you mentioned against Colorado was one of those games that everything worked for the Sounders, right? and that doesn't happen in soccer. We know when when the stars align. In this case, Sounders had a really solid performance, and then everything clicked. Against Colorado, I think they need to work on, especially with all the mistakes that the team committed today against Houston, and especially is this game against Colorado, but then Sporting Kansas City is coming right in a few days after. So Brad Metzer also need to consider which players he needs to save for that Sporting Kansas City if there needs to be some changes right in the lineup.
Sounders fans, even the greatest athletes, make sure to take the time to catch up with their friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that joy is the whole game, not the end game. Michelob Ultra, it's only worth it if you enjoy it. Another quick look around at some of the scores from around Major League Soccer today. Like we said, 48 minutes gone in Real Salt Lake, Colorado, and RSL is up 1-0. Minnesota United still up 1-0 over Austin. That game in the 80th minute. LA Galaxy and Portland just now underway. DC United and Nashville played to a 0-0 draw, and Toronto and Atlanta United, both of whom had a man sent off. Atlanta United finished that match up 2-0. Well, Sounders fans, tickets to the club's 2 remaining regular season home matches against Sporting Kansas City and the LA Galaxy are still available. Don't miss your chance to cheer on the Rave Green as the club looks to secure home field advantage throughout the Audi 2021 MLS Cup playoffs. And get your seats today by visiting SoundersFC.com/tickets. The 2021 Sounders FC regular season is presented by Primera Blue Cross. Primera Blue Cross, always in your corner. Diego, a 2-1 loss here tonight for Seattle Sounders FC on the road against Houston. Your final thoughts on this match. What is the quintessential lesson that the Sounders need to take from this match as they move into these final 5 matches of the regular season?
I would say, even though the Sounders were not expecting that. Nobody was expecting that loss, especially against Houston, right? With the record that they have this season. But I think that the learnings from this game is to really play your game from minute 1. I think the first 45 minutes, they just let Houston play. They left a lot of space. There was not high pressure as they usually do, and trying to pressure even when the opposite team has the ball and tries to pass it through the midfield. So I think Branch Metzer is going to work on that, and especially focus the team that they can, they need to take serious every single team. Doesn't matter if it's Houston, Austin, Colorado, or upcoming Sporting Kansas City. They need to play their best, and especially they need to now think about playoffs and what's coming ahead of them.
Well, you've been listening to the Sounders FC post-match show for tonight's match against Houston Dynamo FC. Sounders FC Soccer is brought to you by Zulily, partnering with local youth organizations to present the Zulily Dream Team. For our entire crew, including streaming audio engineer Lloyd Glazer and my partner here in the booth, Diego Arioja, I've been Andrew Harvey saying so long, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.